What's going on, fellow A-Plusers? It's your boy, Adam Perez. We are back once again with a brand new live episode of A-Plus Hero Report, your weekly stop for your Marvel, DC, television, and movie news, streaming live for you guys today. We got 6 incredible topics, some honorable mentions, and your live viewer questions at the end of the show. We're going to be diving into some Lord of the Rings for you guys today. We got some Star Trek talk. After the movie Project Hail Mary, Lord and Miller are back in the news with a potential next film. All that, plus much more, guys. So sit back, relax, grab your coffee, and we'll see you guys on the other side. Good afternoon, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you're certainly watching A-Plus Hero Report from today. It is fantastic to have you here with us as always. It is I, your host, Adam Perez, joined none other than by my other co-host, Stuart Branscombe, in the house with us today, coming through every weekend for you guys. What's going on, buddy? Good to see you, man.
Hey, going good. Just last night I did some karaoke, and somehow I managed to not only not lose my voice, but also not get too bad of a hangover. So I'd call that a double win.
Yeah, big W for karaoke fans out there. You couldn't get me on stage, Stuart, even if you tried, man. I did it one time back in like high school, I think. Me and my boys were headed home. We took the bus. We got off at the bus stop, and there just happened to be a bar across the street that was open. And I remember we walked across the street because we could see people performing in the window. And we were like, what are they doing over there? And so we went across the street. We're like looking through the window, looking at everybody. It clearly says no one under 18 allowed to come in. But the manager was there, and he was like, come in, waving us in. So the 4 of us went inside, and we just watched people perform. And me and my boy Michael, they were like, you guys can't drink, but if you want to perform, you could perform if you want to. And so we got up there, and him and I performed a rap song. Oh God, now that I think about it, Puff Daddy and Mace, Can't Nobody Hold Us Down. We sang that song, and that's the only karaoke I've ever done in my life. You couldn't pay me enough to get on stage now, Stuart. I just don't got the voice, man.
Neither do I, but as long as you have some drinks in you, no one's going to care.
I don't know about that, man.
Like the first song I opened with, I had only had 1 drink in me, so I wasn't even buzzed yet. But it was the song Golden from K-Pop Demon Hunter. And let me just say, that song was not made for men to sing. Halfway through, I eventually just had it like William Shatner it. I'm done fighting now. I'm done hiding now. I'm shining like I'm born to be.
Oh God. I mean, we're like fresh off the Oscars. Golden won an Oscar for best song. And, it's only tradition, Stuart. I'm glad that you got the opportunity to shine golden, like, if you will.
Oh yeah. And then I think speaking of tradition, every time we do karaoke, I think we always end on Bohemian Rhapsody.
That I might get behind. That I might get behind at a karaoke bar for sure. Sounds like a good time, man. Sounds like a good time. Yeah, as far as me, we've been doing all right over here. Got the opportunity to finally catch They Will Kill Us yesterday. We're going to be having another live episode for you guys of Let's Talk Movies tomorrow morning or tomorrow evening at 7 p.m. Central Time. So certainly join me and Stuart there as we wrap up. I think we're going to talk about They Will Kill Us. And then maybe another film that we'll add on there that's They Will Kill Us was certainly inspired from. So we'll probably have another movie for you guys to review as well. I've been meaning to go ahead and drop my Daredevil Born Again episode 1 review for you guys. I may do that live later on today if I've got some time for sure. I definitely want to try and see if I can do a live review for you guys today, just to have some people join me to talk Daredevil Born Again season 2. And then tomorrow will be our movie reviews for the week. We're getting closer to Maul Shadow Lord, which will be doing reviews here for you guys also. So certainly stay tuned for that. And a ton more, guys. Anytime there's brand new news or trailers that drop throughout the week, we definitely will always have new content for you guys here. But it's fantastic to have everybody here with us today. We certainly appreciate you guys. Look, as we go through these topics, whether they be honorable mentions or the main topics. Remember, these are simply our A+ opinions as we talk about them and give our thoughts about them. But we also want to know your guys' thoughts. There is a live chat available if you want to go ahead and chime in and let your thoughts be known about some of the topics that we discuss. It certainly will help the conversation and back and forth conversation between all of us here. And if you want to help us out monetarily, Super Chat is certainly available if you want to go ahead and help the channel grow. We don't have any sponsors or anything like that. We truly do grow by your guys' help, so we would certainly appreciate it. But if you can't help us out monetarily because it's tight in them streets right now, people are living paycheck to paycheck, a best way to help us out, like the video, hit the like button. It's absolutely free, takes none of your time, and feel free to share these videos, clip these videos, download these videos, let people know about Hero Report. It certainly will go a long way. And let's go ahead and give some shout out to people that are in the live chat with us today. We got Ricky Perez in the house. Saw the official trailer for the upcoming live action of Moana and the first look at Dwayne Johnson's live action version of Maui. Yeah, we might I don't know if I want to play the trailer for that or not, but we'll see. Were you gonna say something, Stu?
Oh yeah, just I saw some funny memes about the wig that he uses in the movie.
Oh yeah.
I think the one that made me laugh the most was someone comparing it to the wig John Cena used in the Barbie movie and saying that they're kind of equal in quality, but like whereas John Cena's wig was funny because it was there for like a brief moment and it looking fake added to the humor because it kind of adds to the it blends in with the aesthetic of Barbie, whereas like Maui wearing the wig, it just looks so bad, especially because we're meant to take it seriously.
Yeah, it's I don't know if it's a look that'll grow on me or not, but we'll see. We'll see. Ricky Perez also saw the official trailer and first look featurette for DreamWorks Animation's next film, Forgotten Island, with the creators of Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, and the cast. Also, the official trailer for the upcoming Harry Potter reboot will be arriving in 2026. Yeah, we'll talk about that later on today. Also, Sony Pictures Animation's new GOAT is out on digital after its February release, so it's already on digital. I wonder how that did at box office, or if it was well received. And finally, I saw the official #1 Sentai Gozouja versus Boom Boomger ending song sing along after 50 years of Super Sentai has ended last February. Yeah, sad to see. Peg C in the house. What's up, Peg C? How's it going, guys? A Teddy Ruxpin live action movie in the works. What? Didn't we joke about that recently or something like that? Like if we had to bring anything live action, I swore I threw out a Teddy Ruxpin comment, but I was joking at the time.
I wouldn't doubt it.
I didn't think Amazon MGM Studios was serious about that. I might have to look that up. Can you Google that real quick? Teddy Ruxpin live action movie. Peg C says, I just got into watching Superhero Metalder, the show that VR Troopers used. Oh, very cool. Yeah, Peg C's got a huge collection of tokusatsu content, whether it be Metal Heroes or Super Sentai. Probably a rather impressive collection, if you ask me, from everything that he's told me. But yeah, so those are some of our live chat comments, and feel free to always throw in your thoughts in the live chat if you certainly want to join us. Stuart, I am thinking about considering launching our first membership tier this week, a $1 tier, just as an offer for some of the grades that when we do our movie reviews and things like that, if people join us for our movie reviews or if they've seen a movie, that they can kind of grade along with us. What I found out though, setting up the tier, even though it's just the first level tier that we have, they only give me so many different like emojis or like little stickers that I can add until we grow a membership. So I think I'm only allowed to upload like 4 different ones. So I was thinking of uploading A, B, C, and D. But it doesn't allow me to add like the A+, the A-, the B+, the B-. I was just thinking going more just A, B, C, and D. But once we get more membership, it will allow us to add more grades if we want to. I think we have to have like 4 or 5 memberships before we can add more people or more grades to it. How do you like that idea? Should I do A, B, C, D? Should I do A+, A, B, C? What do you think? How should I make that work in the meantime?
Maybe for A do the A plus, but for the other letters do them just A plus B C D.
Mm, okay, I like that idea. I like that
Oh,
idea.
and then also, so going back to Teddy Ruxpin, so yes, apparently it is going to be, this is the AI answer though, so it's
Oh,
giving me a
okay.
couple of links, but I'm just going to read the abridged version of it. So basically, they're developing a Teddy Ruxpin movie in collaboration with Dwayne Johnson's Seven Bucks production and Story Kitchen, and this movie is pitched as Sonic the Hedgehog meets Elf style film.
Yeah, I have no idea what that looks like. I've got, especially for a Teddy Ruxpin movie. Because Teddy Ruxpin was, didn't you have like cassettes or something like that that you would put in the back of him, or he would have like certain things that he would say after you respond to him? I can't remember how Teddy Ruxpin worked. I had one years ago. Years ago. First thing that comes to mind when I think of Teddy Ruxpin is Ted. Is more Ted than Sonic or what was the other movie? Elf. But we'll see. We'll see how I mean, if that ever comes to fruition, we'll see what it looks like.
Maybe that was like the actual pitch that they didn't want to say. It's hey, Ted was really popular. What if we made that for a wider audience, forgetting the fact that Ted was popular because it's because just something you wouldn't expect from a teddy bear, and that's what kind of made it popular, I think. But
Yeah, I thought Ted was inspired by Teddy Ruxpin originally, I think, when I saw it. But I could be wrong. I don't know where Seth MacFarlane gets his inspirations from, but that's what Ted reminded me of originally.
From everywhere, as I see in Family Guy or early Family Guy, because he references like everything.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for sure. All right, guys, with that out of the way, let's go ahead and kick off this show with our first segment of the day. And we're going to get into some honorable mentions for you guys here today. For those of you who are not familiar, honorable mentions are portions of the or topics that didn't quite necessarily make our top 6 to talk about today, but felt that you guys certainly still deserved to know about them. So let's go through some of these. I believe our other co-host may be joining us a little bit later. I'm not quite sure. He's saying he's having a little technical difficulties, but we'll see if they can get it fixed. But we'll keep you guys posted for sure. All right. Any honorable mentions that you might have, Stuart, at all? I don't know.
Not on my end today.
Okay. Let me go down the list here of what we got on deck for honorable mentions. First up, where'd it go? Oh, Fox McCloud, ladies and gentlemen, is coming to Super Mario Galaxy movie. They wind up dropping this brand new character poster just a couple of days ago, honestly. But it's not just the poster to show Fox McCloud was going to be in there. We also got ourselves a voice actor, or we have an actor that's going to be voicing Fox McCloud, and it's none other, Stuart, than Glenn Powell himself. Glenn Powell will bring to life Fox McCloud, the surprise Nintendo character joining Mario Brothers. Powell posted a video on Instagram announcing the news on Friday. He most recently starred in the thriller How to Make a Killing this year. He's going to be taken to the skies once again after his breakout in Top Gun Maverick as Fox McCloud. I think that's pretty badass if you ask me. This does make, look, I will say I've seen a lot of positive responses towards Glenn Powell as Star Fox, or just Star Fox even being in this movie. And I see people now talking about the idea like, oh, please, can we get a spinoff? Does this mean Super Smash Bros is gonna be a thing? How do you feel about this, Stuart, in regards to the casting and your hopes for Star Fox?
100%. I think they're setting up Super Smash Brothers now. Cause like Donkey Kong being in the first Mario movie made sense because Donkey Kong was initially like a Mario character. Like, originally you played as Jumpman, aka Mario, and you have to rescue Princess Peach from Donkey Kong. So finding a way to put him into the Mario movie was made a lot of sense. And it was good for marketing too. this only makes sense on a marketing standpoint. Like I know it's Super Mario Galaxy, so of course he's going to be traveling the galaxy, but like I don't know, putting like as far as I know, Star Fox was like not even like connected to any, like I mean I know it was a Nintendo exclusive, but like putting Star Fox in this would be the same thing as putting someone like Link or Samus in this. Like yes, they're both Nintendo, but you don't really, I never really picture them as being in the same world as Mario, except for of course in Super Smash Brothers. So this is just, it's interesting. It's not what I didn't expect this, but since we got it, I can almost confidently say for 100% sure this is definitely setting up Super Smash Brothers. That is going to be the next movie. If not the next movie, it's coming at some point. They maybe they'll do one more Mario movie to bring up another Nintendo character, but after that, yeah, we're getting a Smash Brothers movie. That's what this image means to me.
I gotta say, I love everything about this. If there is anything that that does disappoint me a little bit, is when we talked about the idea of like top Nintendo movies that we think top 3 Nintendo movies we would like to see. Star Fox was one of my top 3, but I really wanted it in some sort of like live action form or some level of really cool like live action CGI kind of mashup if they possibly could, or animatronics or something. Like I really wanted Nintendo to be really bold from a technical standpoint of bringing a Star Fox movie to life. So that's how I probably would have preferred Star Fox to either have made his debut or have his own kind of movie. But regardless, you say Fox McCloud, you say Star Fox in anything, and I'm extra hyped. So I was already kind of looking forward to Super Mario Galaxy. I'm even looking forward to it even more now. And yeah, I definitely do think that this either will lend us towards a Star Fox animated movie of his own, or a Super Smash Brothers for sure. But I really would have loved to have seen him take a much bigger swing and bringing Star Fox to life. But yeah, man, you can't disappoint me with this. I hope he has a decent amount of time in this movie for sure.
Mm-hmm. I do like that he's voiced by Glenn Powell. Almost makes me think like, where's demands? Okay, fine, but I want my microphone in a plane so I can actually record my flying scenes while I'm actually flying.
Right? I mean, getting right back in the cockpit from Top Gun Maverick to Star Fox, this feels very just makes a lot of sense to me. I think we might have our co-host here in just a little bit, so we'll keep you guys posted. Next couple of bit of news, the X-Files, Ryan Coogler's X-Files. That's right. Oh, I'm sorry, not Ryan Coogler. Academy Award winning Ryan Coogler's X-Files are now in the news as we officially have casting for our main leads here. We talked before briefly about Danielle Deadwyler being part of the cast. Well, this week they also announced Himesh Patel has been cast opposite lead. So Danielle Deadwyler has found her partner for Hulu's X-Files reboot, as Himesh Patel is set to join the Hulu's reboot of the classic series. The show recently received a pilot green light at Hulu. Deadwyler is set as the co-lead in the project. Insiders close to the show said Deadwyler and Patel will be playing new original characters in the series. I have seen some people immediately think that they were Scully and Mulder. That's not the case. They will be playing new original characters in the series. Coogler is writing and directing the pilot for the new X-Files. In it, 2 highly decorated but vastly different FBI agents form an unlikely bond when they are assigned to a long-shuttered division devoted to cases involving unexplained phenomena. So yeah, we do have our official cast for them. I'm trying to remember. I'm sure I've seen both of them in things, but it's I can't quite pin where I've seen the both of them at. But I'm really excited for this. I really am, especially after Ryan Coogler won for original screenplay at the Oscars. I don't know if this is a reboot per se as much as it is a revival. They talk about them coming on board for a division that's kind of defunct at this point in time. I'm trying to remember when Scully and Mulder came on board, if that was the same situation, if it was like a department that nobody really took care of, but they got thrown into this division. So I am kind of curious if it's truly a reboot or if it's just like a revival kind of built off of what Chris Carter and them originally did.
Yeah, I was going off the assumption that this was like yeah, a continuation. Just yeah, and I think because now we're introduced to two characters that aren't Mulder and Scully, I'm pretty sure that's the case. I don't but yeah, like you said, I don't think they've said one way or another. But I think
Yeah.
I haven't I haven't watched that much X-Files, so if anyone tells me this wouldn't make any sense, let me know. Or if this does make sense, let me know. But I was just under the assumption this was just going to pick up like, in the same universe as X-Files. We're just following different characters, but it's still going to be, the same premise because, I don't know how X-Files ended, but I'm assuming like the world itself still doesn't know about aliens and is still technically debated.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I like as far as where it will pick up. I mean, I'm hoping that they're bringing back the division because of the concept of like UAPs now being maybe more widely recognized and talked about. I wonder if that's part of the premise for Ryan Coogler's show. I'm not quite sure, but we'll see. But yeah, during that time, it was very taboo, to talk about aliens or believe in them type of thing when the movie or the series first started. We got Kiki and Luca in the house with the super chat already. Appreciate you coming through first thing in the morning, Kiki and Luca. Good to see you here. We appreciate you always coming through. Peg C said, "Let's get F-Zero. That'd be pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get Joseph Kaczynski, who just did F1, to jump on board F-Zero. Let's do that." Tony Robinson in the house. Appreciate you coming through. He says, "What's up, Adam and Stuart? I think it's a continuation following new characters." There's a part of me that wants to say the same thing, Tony, in regards to the X-Files movie, but I could be tragically wrong. But we'll keep you guys posted. Next up, real quick, the GOAT. The MMA GOATs growing up for me. If it wasn't Anderson Silva, it was GSP, George St. Pierre. Highly debated back and forth as to which one was the GOAT at the time. But according to Variety, UFC legend George St. Pierre has a biopic in the works from director Thomas Soto. One of the most dominant champions in UFC history is getting the big screen treatment. A movie about the mixed martial arts icon is officially in development. We've been considering telling my story for a moment now, and when we found this team, it was clear to us that we wanted this to be told in a new creative way, is what GSP said in a treatment. The biopic will trace George St. Pierre's journey from Quebec to Octagon history, becoming a 2-division champion at the UFC. The filmmaker says they want to strip away the myth of GSP, the golden icon, to reveal George the man. Okay. Look, I was again, if it wasn't Anderson Silva, it was GSP that had all the arguments about greatest of all time, considering especially the fact that I don't even that I'm trying to remember how many title defenses he might have had, but the idea that he was a 2-division champion at the time in the UFC was massive. But love the guy, great inspiration. I'm eager to see what they do with the life story of him.
Man, I thought the GOAT was Jon Favreau's character from Friends.
God. What else do we got? We got The Punisher. Our very first poster for the special presentation, The Punisher One Last Kill, is set to go ahead and drop May 12th. So it's going to be here rather soon. If people are wondering from a timeline perspective, I believe release date, this comes like a week or two right after Daredevil Born Again. So once Daredevil Born Again season 2 winds up wrapping up after its finale, I believe either the next week or the week after, The Punisher One Last Kill winds up dropping. So we will be getting our special presentation here relatively soon. And then The Punisher will then be in Spider-Man, Brand New Day this summer. This is very much a Frank Castle summer, my guy. I'm excited for this.
So I'm wondering, like, if they planned it out, like, in terms of like his story arc, like if he's going to have like an appearance in Daredevil Born Again, and then that appearance will like lead into his, one-off special, and then that one-off special will lead into Spider-Man.
Yeah, I am kind of curious if this. Yeah, that's a good point. I am kind of curious if that runs into like just story wise, if they've built that in to run right into Spider-Man Brand New Day or not. But we'll see. We'll see.
Because it's been a while since Marvel did that, but like I remember the first time they did that, it kind of blew my mind because it was when you had Agents of Shield. They had the episode where they're like, "Oh no, we've been infiltrated by someone. Someone has infiltrated Shield. It's not. It's no longer going to be Shield. What could have possibly happened?" And then you get to Captain America: Winter Soldier, and then we find out about Hydra, and then we cut back to Agents of Shield the next week, and then that's when the characters learned, "Oh no, Hydra's taking over Shield," and it's just the timing of that must have been so hard to plan the way they did.
Yeah, I can imagine. But yeah, it was epic when they did that. I was so glad that I was watching that stuff at the time to kind of see how it is all connected. What else do we have? Oh yeah, just to clarify, yes, so looking at the schedule, the finale for season 2 of Daredevil is May 5th, episode 8, and then May 12th, the very next week, The Punisher, One Last Kill. So yeah, they're gonna straight from Daredevil right into The Punisher.
Sweet.
We also did get ourselves a brand new poster and a trailer this week for Stranger Things Tales from 85, set for Netflix April 23rd. So less than a month away. Also, Netflix is showing the first 2 episodes of Stranger Things Tales from 85 in theaters. So a limited theatrical release for the animated first 2 episodes. If you want to check that out, try and find tickets. But again, that's going to be April 23rd on Netflix. I really like the trailer in here. I only saw it once, but I did like the trailer in here. Music sounds great. The music definitely feels like it's inspired from the show for sure, and I could definitely tell elements of like, yeah, the Duffer Brothers were very like heavily involved in bringing this to light. Like whoever the showrunner is, style wise, I think it'll work for an animated show, but we'll see what it turns out to be. And then last but not least, we did get ourselves a brand new poster and trailer for the live action Moana movie. This is set to release July 10th. This image of Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson doesn't do the trailer justice in regards to the wig and the body. Did he wear a bodysuit for this to look a little bit bigger than he normally is? I can't remember. He's already a big swole dude as it is, but I thought we saw like set photos that he might be also wearing a bodysuit under it, but maybe I'm tripping.
He could be, and I could see them having covered it up with CG. Do not judge me, but basically, my fiance and I noticed, or no, I think she saw a video that noticed that he didn't have nipples. So we basically took images of Maui from the original movie, and then we tried to zoom in as close as we could onto Dwayne Johnson to see if that was the case, because that would have been the best indicator of whether or not he was wearing a bodysuit. We did see nipples, so I'm pretty sure it's probably not like a full-on suit, but there might be like kind of skin patches on, because yeah, even though Dwayne Johnson is a pretty big dude, I don't think he's like as big as they make him look in this movie.
You heard it here first, guys. Nipples confirmed.
Yeah. Unless they just added nipples on the bodysuit, which is also very possible.
Very possible, yes, absolutely. Look, I gotta be honest. I really was a fan of the animated movie Moana. I really did. I really did like it. I've seen it a couple times already. I just don't look. I do think that this movie, regardless, is going to do relatively well box office wise. I don't know if it's going to be as big as. I think a movie will do well. I don't know if it's going to be like $1 billion well. I just don't care for this one. I just don't care for this one. Like just watching the trailer itself. Yeah, I just don't care for this one. I'd rather just watch the animated one, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I love the first Moana. I wasn't into the sequel too much, just kind of boring, but I really like the first one. Don't really have interest to watch this one either.
Yeah, it's tough. I want to be excited for it, but I'm just not there yet. Oh, and last bit of news. I don't know why I missed out on this one. I'm so sorry. I don't have a picture for it or anything like that, Stuart. So I'm just gonna say it. Wonder Man has been renewed for a season 2 over at Disney Plus. Yeah, it's a rarity these days that Marvel anime, or not Marvel anime, but Marvel television in general gets any type of second season. It's only for like the creme de la creme, it feels like. What is we had Loki season 2. What else
That's
have
it.
we had?
Oh
That's
wait,
it,
no.
right?
What if
Daredevil.
that counts? And Daredevil.
Well, I mean, yeah, I was thinking more like live action, but yeah, What If has gotten multiple seasons, but from like a live action, just Loki and
And Daredevil.
Daredevil. So the fact that Wonder Man is up there, and I think Wonder Man also was part of their Marvel Spotlight, right? Like their new introduction of the idea of like not everything is as connected from the television to the MCU. Like a lot of this stuff is very much standalone. And so Marvel television really impressing with Wonder Man. We do have a Vision Quest series that's up next also. I don't know if that's necessarily a Marvel spotlight, like it's kind of its own thing. I kind of look at that as like a trilogy, if you will, to WandaVision and Agatha all along, and now sort of Vision Quest. But ever since they've had this new mandate of really trying to keep television and the Marvel Cinematic Universe separate and like their own significant entities, the talent has been there, the creativity has been there from writing and storyline purposes, and they've had a pretty good outing so far. So yeah, Wonder Man season 2 is set to happen. Congratulations to them, man. It was a hell of a show.
Yeah, I was really surprised by it. I think a lot of people went in with low expectations, mostly because, like, yeah, they kind of did the same thing with Echo, where they called it the Marvel Spotlight, and they released all 8 episodes at once.
It was part
And
of Marvel Spotlight. Echo was.
yeah, Echo. I think that was Spotlight. So they released all episodes at once, and I think really what it is that it's what Marvel does when they don't really expect a show to last. So they just release it all at once, just trying to get it over with, like ripping off a band-aid. But with Wonder Man, people actually really liked Wonder Man, myself included. So I'm glad that Disney actually saw that people had that there was like a positive response to the series. So I'm definitely looking forward to season 2. Wonder if we're gonna get more Dorman and find out like whether or not Josh Gad's still alive.
Yeah.
According to the writers of the show, he's still alive in there.
Okay.
Which I don't know. If I were Josh Gad, I'd say that's actually sounds worse than death. But I guess we might find out.
Yeah, we might find out. That's cool, man. Yeah, shout out. Look, I'm telling you, I ever since the writer's strike and the things like that, I think Marvel has really kind of switched up their game a little bit in regards to how they're tackling it. And I think I've become a very big fan of Brad Winderbaum, who is the head president over at Marvel Animation and Marvel Television. I think he's been doing a phenomenal job with some of the content that they've been pushing out. I expect them to have a huge year this year with the Punisher special presentations. We got the return of X-Men 97, the return of Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. I think they're really like kicking on all cylinders right now, man. So I'm excited to see what the future holds for the animation and TV side of things. All right, guys, that will do it for all of our honorable mentions here today. Before we get into our main topics, though, I want to show some more love to people in the live chat with us, since we got some new people joining us here. Kiki and Luca going MMA on. How about Sakuraba, the Gracie Hunter? Yeah, my man was deadly. Peg C in the house. Ronda Rousey versus Gina Carano is coming on Netflix. Is that today? I'm kind of curious as to when that fight takes place. I definitely will be watching it though. Marcelino in the house. Hey guys, I heard that Waller may have gotten delayed. Is that true? Yeah, that's what I've recently heard. According in the new interview with Variety, HBO's Casey Blois was asked about the Waller TV series starring Amanda Waller. In terms of its chances of going into production anytime soon, according to HBO's Casey Blois, he says, put it this way, I wouldn't say it's on the runway, but Lanterns is coming this summer. So it's not really even on the runway yet. So it sounds like it's very much kind of in development, if you will, still. It's indeed something that they are doing on purpose and yada yada yada. Let me see. It says this is what he says. That was deliberate because I do it based on the script more than anything else. Forget about anybody, any plan, or anything like that. You have to do it based on script by script. Is it a good script? Do we think it's interesting creatively? Do we think it makes sense as a show? So for me personally, I think anytime you lay out a thing dictating in advance how many shows you're going to have per year, it sets up an opportunity where you might compromise creatively. And so I think it's always better just start every project. What do we think of what's in front of us here? Versus, well, if we don't have this one, we can't have that one. You've got to start with what's in front of you. So yeah, Waller's definitely been taking quite some time. So in the sense of delayed, yeah, I would say it's delayed. I don't know if it's off the chopping block, if it's on the chopping block or anything like that, but it's definitely delayed. Blossom in the house. What's up, Blossom?
Or I was just gonna say I just realized there must be like a lot of pressure for DC writers now when it comes to the films, because now if a movie gets delayed, there's not as much question behind it anymore, since James Gunn just straight up kind of says, oh yeah, we don't start production until I like the script.
Yeah, for real. Kiki and Luca talking about Sakuraba took down Royce, Roy Lee, Renzo, and Ryan Gracie. He was amazing. Yeah, he definitely was. Kiki and Luke says John Bernthal is a phenomenal actor. I first saw him in The Walking Dead. I'm going to sign up for Disney Plus in May. Look at that. The Punisher special presentations got themselves a Disney Plus subscriber in May already. Nice. Good to hear, Kiki and Luca. Kiki and Lucas says, haven't seen Wonder Man yet. Is it low budget? I would say it's relatively low budget, not in necessarily the quality, but I think as far as like if low budget is like not, if you mean like low budget in the sense of not a big superhero like brawl and special effects feast, then yes. There are definitely some moments for sure that hint or the idea of abilities, but it's very more actor performance story oriented. Would you say, Stuart?
Definitely, very much a character driven series.
Yeah, for sure. Tony Robbins says, yeah, I feel like some fans don't realize that the shows have to have their own thing going on outside the movies. Yeah, I think that's what makes them much more successful. And I think also, because we've talked about this before, I think one of the things that Marvel Studios shot themselves in the foot is the idea of it all needing to be connected. Like it's a cool premise originally, but then once you start really reaching out and expanding very quickly like Marvel Studios did, and forcing more people to kind of have to do a lot more homework to kind of watch this, you really start alienating some fans this deep into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So I'm kind of glad they decided to kind of go back to what they really had a long time ago, which shows like Runaways and Cloak and Dagger, Agents of Shield, shows that, well, Agents of Shield was suggested to be connected to the MCU, but as the seasons went on, it very much wasn't so. But I do miss that, because Marcelino does bring up, it's funny because people were requesting TV shows to be connected. Because I used to really love that idea. But I think as you start expanding, especially after phase 3, and you realize just the amount of homework that it now kind of becomes, in the sense of having to have watched this before watching the movie to really understand the movie. You've had to have watched the television series. I don't think the movies did a good job of allowing general audiences to just enjoy content without having had to have seen something else previously. I just don't know if they pulled it off as well as they promised that they would have.
Yeah, I wanted more connectivity in the sense of I didn't want the shows to be ignored per se, like they were kind of during phases 1 through 3. Like literally the only show that got directly referenced from them was Agent Carter, and that's only because like some of the writers for Avengers Endgame I think worked on the show, so that was, even then, that was like, it was a very like it was very much like only if you've seen the show you would get the reference, which is how I think that a lot of the connectivity should be. I think it should be like kind of something special for people who watch the show, but not something that would alienate those who haven't seen it at all. So I think like Endgame was kind of a good example of that. But yeah, what I also kind of wanted too from that was for like the big epic battles where it's like we need not just the Avengers, but we need people from all over. Like those felt like the moments where it would have been great to have like kind of some of the more street level characters. Like apparently there were plans to include Luke Cage in the very beginning of the first Avengers Infinity War. I don't know why that never went through. But I do. Sorry. It's because like Kevin Feige just thought like, yeah, no one would understand who this character is because no one watches the Netflix shows. And as we clearly saw from the audience reactions in Spider-Man No Way Home, that was very incorrect from how many people cheered from Matt Murdock's cameo.
Oh yeah, that's true.
But yeah, all that to be said, like I didn't necessarily want like them to be required viewing, but I wanted them to just not be ignored. I wanted like connectivity in that sense, in the sense of even if we don't like necessarily see Ms. Marvel teaming up with like the Avengers, we still know that she's in that universe, in one way or another. Like maybe someone references her and goes, "Oh, we need new recruits. Why not Miss Marvel?" And something along those lines. So yeah, I don't know. Whereas like if it was so hard for me to see shows like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Daredevil and all the other like Netflix shows in the MCU, like it was easy for me to see the MCU in those shows because they would reference the MCU all the time. But it was more just how the MCU almost pretended they didn't exist. That's what kind of made it hard for me to see them as connected. But I think that now what they do with a show like Wonder Man, for example, where you have so much connectivity with the MCU in terms of like characters, in terms of like it's the show's overall lore, basically. But at the same time, nothing is really required to watch the show. You can still watch it on its own and it works. That's kind of the vibe I wanted to see from Marvel TV shows for a while.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. This is really last minute. I'm so sorry to add this. I meant to add this last minute. Our honorable mention segment's going a little bit longer than I certainly wanted to, but we do have some major Legend of the White Dragon news. I don't know if you guys have heard about this, but apparently they are doing a theatrical release for the movie. Oh God, I couldn't have found a better image of this. Jesus, Adam, they lied to me about what the quality was on Google Images. I'm so sorry, y'all. Hold on one moment. Let me but yeah, big news in regards to Legend of the White Dragon. Can I get, come on guys, where can I get some images here, y'all? Like these people are killing me with these horrendous images. I already got that image. Fuck it. All right. Anyway, Legend of the White Dragon apparently is getting a theatrical release. Let me see if I can look it up where I liked one of the tweets here. At least I thought I did. Man, what is that date? Something tells me it's like August 28th or something like that. Okay, Legend of the White Dragon will release in theaters August 28th on National Power Rangers Day. It'll be Jason David Frank's last on-screen appearance. Looks like they got a distributing company to release. It doesn't say how many theaters right now, but it just says that it will be releasing in select theaters August 28th. So if you are interested in Legend of the White Dragon, that's what they went ahead and announced today. So we'll see, man. I'm keeping my fingers crossed. I feel like this has been like a shit show for this movie to actually kind of finally come together, but hopefully it pays off. So we'll keep you guys posted.
I'm trying to find when the original, and I mean like the very original concept trailer came out. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's God, 5-6 years.
Long. Yeah,
it's been a minute. Probably before my son was born, maybe. I don't even know.
I think it was actually, yeah.
It's pretty crazy. But yeah, guys, let us know your thoughts. And with that out of the way, Stuart, are you ready to go ahead and tackle these main topics with me, man?
always.
Yeah, we're 44 minutes deep into today's show. It's time to talk some main topics for you guys. Lord of the Rings is our main topic here today. We're going to be diving into that. We got some Harry Potter stuff for you guys, some John Wick talk, some Star Trek talk, a little bit of everything. You know, surprisingly, no Marvel talk on the docket here today, but that's okay because I think we got some stellar topics for us to really dive into this week, Stuart. First and foremost being Lord of the Rings. We do know that Warner Brothers right now has been in this fantastic opportunity where they're trying to expand this IP even more, fresh off of the, well, I can't say fresh off of, it's been years since we've had the Lord of the Rings trilogy, along with the Hobbit trilogy. A couple of years back, they went ahead and gave us an animated film as well, which was released in theaters. And they also are currently working on another live action movie, The Hunt for Gollum. That's going to be directed by Andy Serkis with some returning faces also. But Peter Jackson and a lot of his gang that wind up bringing together the Lord of the Rings is really the Lord of the Rings trilogy is really shepherding sort of the new releases in regards to anything Lord of the Rings related, whether that be animated, whether that be streaming, whether that be movie wise. They very much are helming things alongside Warner Brothers to really keep things very Tolkien centered, if you will. But despite the idea, Stuart, that we are expecting a Hunt for Gollum movie as the next live action, they are not slowing down whatsoever in regards to continuing to make new content. As this week, we wind up getting a major announcement that Peter Jackson was bringing in somebody to help develop one of the new movies, and that person is none other than Stephen Colbert. Stephen Colbert, the late night talk show host. Hell to the yeah. Stephen Colbert and his son have been working on a screenplay for a new Lord of the Rings movie that they've pitched to Peter Jackson and Warner Brothers after working on it for about 2 years or so. And the movie is in development, not production as of yet. There's still certainly work to be done, but it seems as though the Stephen Colbert Lord of the Rings movie will be the next movie on the docket, Stuart. Let's go ahead and talk about this. I'm going to bring up this article. Let me see. Where did this go? There we go. From Variety.com. New Lord of the Rings movie from Stephen Colbert and his son in development at Warner Brothers. Warner Brothers has revealed that Stephen Colbert and his son are developing a brand new Lord of the Rings movie. The announcement came Tuesday night via their social media accounts. Let's should I you know what? Let me stop this. I might play that video. Should we play that introduction video so people can hear from Stephen Colbert himself?
Not a bad idea.
Yeah, let's do that. I'm gonna let you guys hear this so you can see how this was announced.
I thought it was time to give you all a Hunt for Gollum update, the first of many that we'll do, little blogs along the way. And Andy Serkis has been busy designing the film. He's going to direct it and obviously play Gollum. We've got a lot of the old team back again, familiar faces and some new faces. But Andy's doing a terrific job. It's looking amazing. The script is coming together really well, and I think it's going to be a really good film, But that is not the only Tolkien movie that we're developing. We've actually got another film that we'll be making after Hunt for Gollum. So I thought I should tell you a little bit about that. Actually, why don't I get somebody else to explain it? Because we've got a very special partner that we're working with, and you can see for yourself. Hang on. There we go. Hello.
Hi, Peter.
Hey, Stephen. Hi. How are you?
How are you doing?
Good. I like all your Tolkien stuff on the wall there. That's that's
hard. Oh, thanks. This is just part of the collection.
So I was just explaining to the folks about the next Tolkien movie after Hunt for Gollum, and the fact that we've partnered up with you to develop the script. So
yeah, I'm pretty happy about it. Should I tell people what the story is?
As much as you want. Yep.
I will, as much as I can. You know what the books mean to me and what your films mean to me. But the thing I found myself reading over and over again were the 6 chapters early on in the Fellowship that y'all never developed into the first movie back in the day. It's basically the chapter is 3 is Company through Fog on the Barrow Downs. And I thought, oh, wait, maybe that could be its own story that could fit into the larger story. Could we make something that was completely faithful to the books while also being completely faithful to the movies that you guys had already made? And I started talking it over with my son, Peter, who's also a screenwriter. And we worked out what we thought would work, especially as a framing device for that story. And it took me a few years to scrape my courage into a pile to give you a call. But about 2 years ago, I did. You liked it enough to talk to me about it. And ever since then, the two of us have been working with the brilliant Philippa Boyens on how to develop this story. And we recently took it to Richard Brenner at New Line and Pam Abdi and Mike DeLuca at Warner Brothers. And I could not be happier to say that they loved it. And so that's what we're going to be working on.
Fantastic. Now, are you sure you've got the time, though? Because,
that I did not think I would have the time. As much as I love it, I knew I couldn't do that and do the show at the same time. But it turns out I'm going to be free starting this summer.
Isn't that fortunate?
Isn't that a you catastrophe right there? So if you'll excuse me, I've got to finish a television show and I've got to write a movie script, but I will see you all in the Shire.
Okay. All righty. Bye-bye. See you, Stephen.
Thanks, Peter.
Bye-bye.
So that was the introduction from Stephen Colbert and Peter Jackson in regards to them bringing this movie to life. So the film's official log line says 14 years after the passing of Frodo, you got Sam, Merry, and Pippin set out to retrace the first steps of their adventure. Meanwhile, Sam's daughter, Eleanor, has discovered a long-buried secret and is determined to uncover why the War of the Ring was nearly lost before it ever began. So it feels like it's a sequel, if you will, to the Lord of the Rings movie, but it will, in fact, be retracing kind of steps into, I don't want to say necessarily a prequel-ish, but it'll be recreating or going over moments from those chapters in the book that weren't necessarily kind of explored. So it'll be interesting to kind of see how they have formed this story from concept to actually bringing it all together here. But I'm really fascinated by this one, Stuart. As a big Lord of the Rings fan, this certainly came as a surprise to me. But one of the things that I will say is, Stephen Colbert, like if this was anybody else, I might have a problem with it. Like if it was any other, like if they were like Jimmy Fallon is writing a Lord of the Rings movie in development, I'd be like, what are we talking about here, guys? But I think the fact that it's Stephen Colbert gives me a little bit of sense of confidence. I mean, the guy is a huge, and I even think super fan is like not even grasp like exactly how much knowledge Stephen Colbert has in regards to Lord of the Rings. I mean, some people joke that he's like a Tolkien scholar. The man definitely doesn't have like a PhD or anything like that in Tolkienism, but he has read Tolkien's work multiple times. Some people do say that he knows Tolkien's work and Lord of the Rings better than some professors certainly might even know as well. I think he even popped up in a movie, one of the Hobbit movies too, as a cameo, if I'm not mistaken, as well. But this is somebody who has a deep love, a deep passion, can literally like give you lines from the book, knows chapters like the back of his hands, can quote things to you. His knowledge is hella impressive. And the fact that this feels very much sort of like a dream project for him, a passion project for him, kind of makes me eerily like excited for him that he gets this opportunity to do something that he clearly is very passionate about and has had dreams of doing for a long time. You know, it's fascinating to me that he talks, when he's talking to Peter here, because of the fact that Stephen Colbert has been a talk show host for like the longest time, he's been a part of Hollywood and things like that. The fact that Stephen has been working on this for 2 years and was nervous to even pitch it to anybody, it makes him feel like a fanboy in that sense, just like we certainly would be. Like if we had to approach Kevin Feige with a story pitch or something like that, just how nervous we are to people that we would certainly look up to, right? And so the fact that regardless of all his experience, he too was kind of nervous to have even put this out there. But the fact that you got people like Peter Jackson, you got people like Pam DeLuca and Mike Abney from Warner Brothers, who just had one hell of a year for Warner Brothers in 2025, approve of this and really be on board and really loving the idea and the concept. And it's also bringing in one of the Lord of the Rings writers, and Philippa Boyens, I believe her name is. I can't remember her last name off the top of my head. So it's not like Steven is writing the movie. You do have his son, who's a screenwriter, along with Philippa from Lord of the Rings, that are also going to be sort of writing this to kind of fit the big screen sort of thing. So I think because of the fact that he has the support system and people that have made Lord of the Rings successful in the past, I do think that Stephen Colbert is in really good hands here, and I would love to kind of see how this concept really fleshes out, because it's kind of cool. Like, because to me, when he talks about this taking place 14 years in the after Lord of the Rings, I would assume that means we're going to be getting some very familiar faces in regards to returning cast. Eleanor, Sam's daughter, is going to be all grown up, so you get the opportunity to cast somebody brand new in that role if you want to. Who knows? Maybe the same girl that they had at the end of Return of the King is all grown up now. Maybe she'll come back and actually play the role of Eleanor. But I do like the idea of taking place in a sequel type of time period and sort of retracing steps of adventures that maybe happened within the Lord of the Ring trilogy books at the time that just necessarily wasn't adapted. So again, if it was any other TV talk show host, I might have my problems with this, Stuart. But the fact that it's Stephen Colbert, who's just a huge fan, again, I think super fan is still not necessarily living up to the name of what Stephen Colbert is when it comes to Tolkien's work. I find myself thoroughly excited for this one for some reason, Stuart. But what about you, man? How do you feel about this?
Oh, what's next? Is Jon Stewart going to be writing the next Star Trek film? Which actually, I would love to see what that would look like. But yeah, no, this is very unexpected. I already kind of mentioned my hesitancy with Hunt for Golem, only because, like, to me, I don't know what kind of story you could write with the character that would be appealing for like a theatrical release film. But I don't want to like outright dismiss it, of course, because of course, there's been movies with premises that didn't really sound good on paper, but then ended up working out really well. So hearing that this is kind of coming from 6 chapters from the first book, and it's like, from the beginning of the first book too, but then this is also going to be a sequel to the trilogy. Yeah, I'm very curious, like, what his whole like vision is and how it's going to tie in not only to the books but also to the movies themselves. I will say this, if nothing else, this announcement has kind of encouraged me to want to go back and like actually read all 3 Lord of the Rings books, because before, back in high school, I think I had only read the first book, and even then I don't even think I ever finished the Fellowship. So I think this announcement makes me actually want to read the entire trilogy now. Yeah, I'm intrigued. I don't want to say I'm hyped or excited like you seem to be, but I'm intrigued. I'm really curious to see what he can bring to it, because as we were like talking about this, I was looking through Stephen Colbert's IMDb, and everything he's ever written before has always been like for sketch comedies or talk shows, basically, where he can write like a really funny premise, but really it's the actors that have to like kind of carry it. So this is one where what he's writing, the story has to be what carries it too, as well as the characters and the actors. So yeah, I'm curious, man. I can't wait to see what he brings to the table. Yeah, I wouldn't say I'm hyped, but I'm intrigued enough to want to see this.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you say Lord of the Rings, and I'm just kind of there, ready to go. I'm a big fan of Tolkien's work in that world that he's kind of created. I wasn't necessarily the biggest fan of the Hobbit stuff, honestly, but you tell me that like Philippa and Peter Jackson are all kind of connected to doing more Lord of the Rings. People that were fresh off of the Lord of the Rings trilogy that I was a big fan of, coming back to want to do more in this world, then yeah, I'm kind of all on board for this one. So yeah, I'm kind of pumped, man. We'll see. You talked a little bit about the hunt for Gollum. Now, the hunt for Gollum story is also another story kind of within the Lord of the Rings trilogy. It takes place during, I believe, after um Gandalf leaves the Shire, winds up leaving Hobbiton after I'm trying to remember if it's right after the party for Bilbo or if it's right after Frodo discovers the ring, but I believe Gandalf winds up leaving to see if he can find Gollum, because Gollum's the one that knows who has the ring, and Gandalf is trying to stop Gollum from being captured by Sauron to giving up that information. But as we all know in the movie, Gollum is eventually captured and winds up giving up the name to Bilbo Baggins, which sends the Wraiths after him in Hobbiton. So it's like the movie itself, I believe, just kind of glosses over it, but it's like a whole adventure with Gandalf along with Aragorn trying to hunt down Gollum during this time. I just can't remember if in the book how fleshed out it was, or if it was just a suggested side sort of quest and adventure. And so they've sort of found that element of like, maybe we can create this segment as a movie itself. It's odd to me, just the idea of like creating a new movie based off of a moment in a book, and how you make that work. But it seems as though they're going to be trying to do the same thing here with did they give us the name for this? I think it was like Shadows of the Ring or some shit like that. I can't remember if they had given us a title for it as of yet.
I don't
look at
think
this.
so.
Oh, here we go. Jackson Dente's a very special partner to develop the next film, titled The Lord of the Rings Shadows of the Past. That's what it's called.
Oh.
Shadows of the Past is what the movie would certainly be called. But yeah, so I'm kind of excited for this, man. I think I'm more excited because of the fact that Stephen Colbert is getting to fulfill a dream of his, but I also know just how intelligent he is in regards to I think Kiki and Luca calls him a Tolkien aficionado, which I think is probably very proper to say the least. But I'm excited for him. So you say Lord of the Rings, and I'm there, man. Honestly.
I do hope this means we get to see all of our hobbits again, like Sean Astin. I know that Frodo dies, but I assume we'll still see him in flashbacks. So like Elijah Wood, Billy Boyd, and Dominic Monaghan. Yeah,
Monaghan. Yeah. I believe Elijah Wood might be set up to come back for a hunt for Gollum. I think maybe briefly. So if they were to have a flashback, I can easily see him popping up in here. But yeah, I would assume that they would get everybody's favorite hobbits back as well. Marcelino says many people don't want any more projects related to Lord of the Rings because they had a successful trilogy and then a mediocre trilogy with The Hobbit, and I think they should just quit while they're ahead. I mean, like I get it. I mean, at this point, sometimes it does feel like a little bit of a cash grab in regards to like we've got this really popular IP. What do we certainly do with it? I believe Amazon owns the TV rights for Lord of the Rings. I don't believe Warner Brothers owns the TV rights for things. I think that's why they're subject to just movies and animation and things like that. But I mean, if you could find a solid story to tell within this world, I'm definitely open to it. I think if it was anybody else not named Peter Jackson and Philippa Boyens, then I might not care as much. But the fact that I love what they did with the first trilogy, if they want to come back and try, because it's different for me. Like if it was just anybody else, I at least know Peter Jackson and them will handle this IP with delicacy and paying great attention to the concepts and stuff that they put out there, that they're not just going to make up anything, right? Because they do respect Tolkien's work. So I think it's because of the people that's attached and their intentions behind it that I'm okay if they want to dabble in this world a little bit more, because I think they'll come up with some cool concepts.
The way I see it is like these movies are going to be getting made regardless of whether people want more of it, because it makes money. So my thing is that I just hope that when these things get made, they do it like in a way like this, where it's basically Warner Brothers wants another Lord of the Rings movies. You get Stephen Colbert, who is extremely talented and he wants to work on it because he's a huge Lord of the Rings fan, and Warner Brothers goes, okay, we'll let you do this next movie. It's a lot better than, and this is why I think a good example is Baldur's Gate, why I'm not looking forward to the TV show coming out, because this wasn't the showrunner of The Last of Us going to HBO and being like, hey, I have this great idea for a Baldur's Gate show and I'd really love to do it. No, it was HBO going to him and saying, hey, Baldur's Gate makes money, make it into a TV show. So I think that it's like the thing with Mandalorian too. Mandalorian, one of the things that made it so great was that it wasn't Disney being like, hey, Jon Favreau, make us a Star Wars show. It was Jon Favreau being like, hey, Disney, I got this great idea for a Star Wars show. And that's what, then the rest is history. We ended up getting one of the greatest, Star Wars shows on television. So, this feels a lot more like the Mandalorian type of situation. I think that a lot of times projects that are very much like based in like any kind of nerd culture, they tend to be a lot better when it's like you get the creatives going to the studios rather than the studios going to the creatives. I think that ends up leading to a much better project in the end.
Yeah, I definitely tend to agree with you there. Kiki and Lucas say big Lord of the Rings fan, but seems like the ending ended perfectly. Yeah, with its 12, 13 endings. Yeah, absolutely.
And I would agree with that, but it's like I'd also say that the Star Wars trilogy ended perfectly, but I also don't mind that expanding. So I kind of look at the Lord of the Rings like that. You're like, yeah, the overall like ending to the trilogy, I wouldn't want them to retcon. I wouldn't want them to be like, oh wait, the ring hasn't been destroyed. Oh wait, Sauron is still alive. But if they wanted to continue that, the world is huge though, so I feel like there's still so much story you could tell within that world. Like it can still be done.
Yeah, I mean, I do wonder. Well, I guess when it comes to the rights, also, I do wonder, like, where their mentality is of how sequely do you want to get, and will the Tolkien sort of family even kind of allow it, right? And I only say that because, like, even though this is taking place 14 years, it feels as though there are elements of flashbacks and revisiting something that happened in the books. So it's not like it doesn't feel like a true sequel, if you will, where it's like expanding stuff far past what comes after the War of the Ring. Even I'm kind of curious. I don't know how much work Tolkien has done book wise in regards to like what happens after the War of the Ring. I'm not privy to that, to see if like there are other books out there that could be adapted as actual sequels to it, or are there like brief concepts that he maybe put in like the appendixes as to what happens, and then they kind of they could potentially build off on it. But it feels like they are hesitant to make a true sequel to Lord of the Rings because of just what Kiki and Lucas said. Like the trilogy just ended perfectly, so maybe being able to play still within that trilogy world without going too far past it and making their own content. Maybe they're trying to satisfy Lord of the Rings fans in that regards, instead of trying to make something original in their own that doesn't feel as Tolkien-esque, if they decide to really go full on, Force Awakens here. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Also, yeah, like Kiki and Luca brings up a funny like thing. I can't highlight it, but that one where it's like, yes, if they do something like that with the Lord of the Rings,
Sauron's back.
Yeah, exactly. That's when it becomes like just a careless cash grab, which is exactly how I would describe the Rise of Skywalker. I feel like Force Awakens, like J.J. Abrams clearly had a lot of passion behind that movie. The Last Jedi. I know a lot of people don't like The Last Jedi, but you can't, know who one of those people isn't? Rian Johnson. Rian Johnson clearly liked The Last Jedi, but you know who liked The Rise of Skywalker? No one. I do not believe J.J. Abrams likes the Rise of Skywalker. I don't believe that at all.
I've never heard him come out and say this is my finest work.
Yeah, no. I would be shocked if he actually was proud of that work, honestly. I would be shocked if anyone who worked on Rise of Skywalker, except for the VFX artists, were proud of that work.
Yeah,
sorry,
dude,
I hate
so
that
funny.
movie. It's like one of those movies where I think I had fun with it when I saw it in theaters, but every time I think about it, my anger towards it gets bigger and bigger. It's like it's basically Star Wars's Dawn of Justice. You know, it's like same thing with Dawn of Justice for me. The more I think about it, the more angry I get about certain things. That's how it is with Rise of Skywalker. I just can't believe a movie with this much money could have been that bad. You know?
Yeah, it was just there are pieces of Rise of Skywalker that I enjoyed, but as far as like a full contextual movie put together, it's kind of a mess for sure. There are elements that I was a fan of, but other times it's just like yeah, yeesh, trying to see everything kind of put together as a actual movie. It's rough.
Yeah.
You gotta apologize. I'm looking out the window because my little boy and girlfriend are going out to play some tennis. Her sister is in town, his aunt. And they've been trying to get, since the weather's been nice, they've been on the tennis court the past couple of days and have been taking kiddo with them. So it's just fun to see him running out there with his little SpongeBob racket that they got him.
You got like a tennis court right outside?
No, it's a park nearby though that they're gonna drive to. We do have a basketball court across the street. We got a big open field he can run around, and there's like one or two little playgrounds across the street. We literally moved into like a perfect location for anybody with family or kids. It's really nice.
That's cool.
But anyway, on the side note, let me know what you guys think in regards to the Lord of the Rings movie in development coming from Stephen Colbert. That's right. You heard correct. Late night talk show host Stephen Colbert teaming up with writer Philippa Boyens and his son, who's also a screenwriter, to bring us a new Lord of the Rings movie. Let us know your thoughts in the comment section box below. From one big IP franchise to another, Stuart, Harry Potter is in the news here this week. We've been waiting to get more first looks in regards to this television series. We had seen the brand new cast that was announced several months back. They are currently still filming, I believe, season 1 as of right now. A couple days ago, we did get a brand new image offset, our very first look image, if you will, from the Harry Potter TV show. It looks clean, Stuart. I'm a big fan of this first look image. And then as of earlier this week, we also got ourselves a first official trailer for the show, which also reveals that this show is coming a lot sooner than I personally even expected. I thought this was going to be released sometime in 2027, Stuart, but it looks as though we will be getting it for the holidays in 2026. This is going to be one hell of a December, bro. We've got Dune 3, Avengers Doomsday, and Harry Potter season 1 all dropping within the same month, if not like a week or two apart, Stuart. This is going to be bananas. But we do have a very first look at Harry Potter. Should we play the trailer, Stuart?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's play the trailer. I know Warner Brothers gonna come after my ass. I know they are in regards to trying to play this trailer, but it's okay. I don't even think I monetized today's episode because I knew I was gonna play this, and I didn't want them hating me and trying to demonetize us. So hold on one moment. Let me get this ready to go. So yeah, let me bring up the banner as well. So yeah, we're gonna check out the brand new trailer and give you guys our thoughts on it. Whoa. Hold on. Just playing without me. Damn. Okay. Can I bring this up here a little? Oh, it kind of covers the video a little bit, but that's okay. Maybe it'll help us. All right, here we go. Harry Potter series trailer. Let's go.
I told you. You are a normal boy And you're going to start acting like one. You think you're something special? There is nothing special about you.
You know, I will say, Stuart, just from the when I first started watching this trailer, just from the opening, I just thought to myself, man, this is really serious. You know, I think for me, one of the things that stands out immediately is like when I think of the first Harry Potter movie, just how whimsical and magical and like vibrant and really transporting you into like this fantasy world, if you will. But like within the first couple minutes of this trailer, you really see like the seriousness of like the lifestyle and the life that Harry was kind of living with them, and just how cruel and mean and like how, you know, how terrible his life certainly was. It's like a complete 180 vibes in regards to from the series to the movie, if you will. But I think it does a really good job of immediately letting us know like it's taking itself and the books rather seriously.
Yeah, you kind of like in the beginning of the first Harry Potter movie, like they definitely let you know, oh yeah, Harry's house life is not fun at all. But yeah, they never really went like as deep into it as like in the books. Like specifically in the books, like Harry getting his ass kicked at school was like a daily occurrence, and then Aunt Petunia and Uncle Vernon would often punish him for getting his ass kicked at school. Even though most of the time it would be from Dudley and his friends. There was even like one time where he even gets in trouble with the school because when he was running, he just kind of magically teleports onto the roof, having no idea like how he even got there, and of course gets in trouble with the school. And so it is like things that I don't think they got too specific about a lot of details about it. So I do wonder if like the entire first episode, or at least like the first half of it, we're going to see a lot more of his home life, and we kind of like see from just like that beginning bit, like it does not look like a pleasant life at all.
No. And I mean, I don't think the movies portrayed it pleasantly either, but it was levels of comedic aspect to it, I think, just by, you know, just who he was living with and stuff, his aunts and stuff, and just the way that he I don't want to say gimmicky, but it was just very comedic at times too. You know, they tried to make it a little bit more lighthearted for sure.
Because with Dudley, he was like really dumb, so therefore, you know, he tended to get his comeuppance even after like he would pick on Harry. Like, you know what, like when he pushes Harry like onto that hard cement ground, immediately the glass like disappears and reappears with him inside. So it's like there was a little bit of he got somewhat of his comeuppance, and of course the whole pigtail. But we'll see how that all plays out here. I look forward to it.
I've always wanted to know about my parents.
Your parents were the kindest, bravest people I ever met. They were funny and clever. They stood up for what they believed was right. The next time I see you, we'll be in Hogwarts.
What do you think about Nick Frost in here as Hagrid?
Oh man, I'm very mixed for kind of, you know, same reason as the internet, which is that I love Nick Frost, and I think that on paper he is perfect for Hagrid. It just and I know I shouldn't hold actors to like certain standards or anything like that, because it's like I don't know him in real life. I don't know what his like true beliefs are. It's just one of those things where when I see him signed on to a Harry Potter project, I'm just kind of like, okay, so a little more about the money than like, you know, whatever your core beliefs might be. There's also like, it was weird because I still, if anyone knows if this interview has ever been expanded on, please let me know. But there was like an interview he did where someone like asked him about the controversies of working on Harry Potter project nowadays, you know, specifically when it comes to the controversies with J.K. Rowling. And he gave the most non-answer, making it sound like he wanted to have a discussion about it, but then like not having a discussion about it by saying, oh yeah, that's a good point. It's a great talking point that I think we should all be open to discuss. And then he doesn't bring it up again. Exactly. It's just like, okay. Yeah. So it's one of those things where it's like, if it was like, if it was just the fact that the creator was a bigot, that would be one thing, but it's the fact that the creator is such a bigot, she goes out of her way to use money that she will undoubtedly be making from this show, to support like anti-trans laws and anti-trans, like, basically like trying to start like anti-trans bills and that kind of stuff. So it's just, it sucks that they had to turn a show like this that actually looks like something I would want to see, and it's become political now. Now it becomes like, okay, if you watch this, and it's not like you're supporting anti-trans hate because the person who created the series is anti-trans. It's literally you're supporting anti-trans hate because the revenue made from the show is going to harm other people who are trans. And that's like, I think that's the frustrating thing about it. Sorry, I know the question was around it.
Yeah, that's okay.
One of those things where it's like, I knew I had to bring this up at some point if we were going to talk about it. And I think that was kind of the perfect transition. I think like Nick Frost is kind of perfectly describes how I feel about this, because I love Nick Frost, but I don't know how to feel about, and I think he's perfect for Hagrid too. That's the worst part. So I think this is perfect casting, but I don't know how to feel about knowing that he's a part of this project,
No, I get you. I mean, I am looking forward to him in the show in the sense of I really want to see. I'm trying to think of other things where he's had the opportunity to really express, like, show his range in regards to what he's able to do. I mean, everything that I've seen him in is usually pretty comedic. But I am interested to see what he can pull off as Hagrid here. I do think it's a really good casting, and I think he's certainly more than capable. It's only like a couple of lines in this series, but I am kind of curious to see how he'll pull off season 1. But I think he'll have some pretty good chemistry, but we'll see. Let's continue.
I have no doubt he'll do a great job.
Yeah, for sure.
Mr. Potter, I think we can expect great things from you.
Is that Malfoy?
Let's see.
Is that was Malfoy?
That was, yeah.
Mr. Potter, I think we can expect great things from you.
The guy that gives him his wand, is that the same guy from the movie?
Wait, go back? I don't think so. Like, wait, same guy as in like same actor?
Yeah.
Oh.
Mr. Potter, I think we can expect great things.
Is that
Hang
him?
on. That looks like him. What the hell?
Things from you.
The set. Oh, there's Malfoy. The set designs in here look incredible, man. They are not going cheap with this series whatsoever. I am kind of curious as to how much money they spent on season 1, but they're definitely going all out on this. Is it the same actor?
Man, I don't even remember what the actor's name was, so I'm trying to like look him up, but I can't.
That's okay. Well, we'll look him up here in a little bit.
Oh, wait, it was John Hurt that played him. Okay, so no, it's not, because John Hurt died.
It's not. Okay.
Okay, but yeah,
gotcha.
I'm right. We're there with you though. It looked just like him.
Yeah, it definitely tripped me out for a minute. All right, here we go.
Let's see who you are.
Are you really Harry Potter?
So Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone.
One thing that is so cool about this, for me, looking at this as like an adult now, actually, let me first answer Marcelino's question here. It is because, unlike Nick Frost, I actually did want to have the discussion that Nick Frost avoided. So yeah, anyways, going back to this though, I think one thing that's kind of cool is when the Harry Potter movies came out, I was really young. So it was like, even though they were definitely older than I was when they came out, I think the first one came out like 2001. So I was probably like 6 years old. And they were like, I want to say the kids in Harry Potter, I think they were like 10. But so like kind of 4 years in between. But regardless, it was like, it was cool because like they all looked like they were my age when I would watch it like on the big screen. So it was like watching the characters grow up with me, like basically is one of the things I always loved about the Harry Potter movies. I think, yeah, growing up, I literally saw every single one of them in theaters except for the 5th one. That was the only one I never saw in theaters. And so it's kind of cool now with this new series, looking at this as an adult and seeing like the young kids in here, and now being kind of curious, you know, because it's all going to depend on the longevity of the show itself. I'm very curious, like, if we're going to get that, like, now, like, from the perspective of an adult, am I going to see these kids become adults, like, assuming that the show has the longevity that the movies had? So I think that's one thing that's really cool. The kids look absolutely adorable in this, and then they actually look like they can act too. And like you were saying, the sets, which I know is becoming more and more common. I think that it used to be like kind of a known thing where if you had a kid actor, they're going to suck, and it's just one of those things that you just kind of have to like forgive, really, most of the time. But I feel like over the years, kid actors have gotten so much better. So I think that, yeah, we're going to get some really good performances in here. And then, yeah, you were talking about the set designs. I mean, the set designs look like they are just ripped like almost straight from the original movies. You know, so this show clearly had a budget, you know, going for it. Yeah, you know, I brought up all the reasons that I'm mixed about watching the show. I don't want to support it, but I won't deny that it does look pretty fantastic. Yeah. I do have one question for you though, because there's been so many internet memes about this. I got to know your thoughts. So Snape is going to be black in this series, of course. And the big jokes that people have been making is that with him being black and then Harry, of course, being the one to go, Snape seems super suspicious. This is going to give off some racist vibes for Harry Potter in this season. And then not only that, but what happened when Snape was a kid? He got bullied a lot by Harry's dad. And what did Harry's dad do at times? He used to hang him upside down. And then not to mention, it does kind of lead to that trope of, hey, black people need to know their place. They are not allowed to be with white women. White women only go to white men, you know. Yeah. But white men can have black women. That's totally fine. That's kind of the trope it kind of leads to, you know, like that really dated trope. So I bring all this up, you know, to ask you, what do you think about these?
Always gotta blame the black man for something, bro. Always gotta blame the black man. It'll be interesting to see how it plays out. I mean, now that you mention it, I'm like, yeah, I guess the Snape being black now does kind of like bring up some other issues. I am kind of curious as to how it's played out in the series itself, or if they even maybe like, do they even address it that way? Does Snape even like make it into a race card issue or something like that? Like,
I guarantee you they don't even address it in the show. That said, though, it had to have come up in the writer's room at least once.
Yeah, maybe, or I wonder if the Snape actor might have kind of brought it up also. But yeah, I'm sure when those moments happen on screen, I'm sure some people will probably talk about it for sure.
Oh yeah.
You know, one of the things I will say about this, man, this trailer looks so damn good. I think I'm gonna download these episodes. I don't think I'm going to watch it on HBO Max to add to the level of viewership or anything like that. I may end up downloading the episode, so I'm not feeling like I'm from a financial point of things kind of supporting Rollins. But this show just looks so really good, man. I've been hella impressed with this trailer. Like this, you know, it's funny because we talk about the idea of a Harry Potter television series, but then we also, I think, have to talk about the element of this being an HBO original series. Like, it's not necessarily just an adaptation of the book, but like HBO doesn't skimp on value and production. And they usually will always get kind of recognized for some level of awards, or just how great a lot of these shows are. Not to say that every HBO Max show is like award winning or something like that. I mean, but we're talking about the level of like The Last of Us, Chernobyl, Euphoria. I mean, if you get an HBO originals Lanterns, like if you get an HBO original series, you know that the quality for the show is at least going to be there. And when I watch this trailer, man, the quality is definitely there. I mean, to kind of go from the beginning of this series to show like how grounded it is in regards to the really handling the truth about Harry's sort of upbringing, to then really getting into that whimsical sort of magical bag by the end of the trailer of him going to Hogwarts. And we haven't even seen like the magical creatures in here. We haven't even seen them flying on like their broomsticks and things like that yet. So like I am really excited to see where this show is going to go from an adaptation standpoint. And if there's anybody that's really arguing the point of like, why do we need this anyway? This trailer to me just really showcased, not only are we going to get the Harry Potter story told through like a different vision and a different perspective of somebody else that isn't Chris Columbus, but also the idea that they really have the opportunity to take their time with this and to really explore things that were certainly missed in the book. We posted this trailer up on our TikTok page, and somebody commented, why tell the same story again when there's so many other things they could be telling? And somebody, I thought, put in a pretty good comment back. Her name is Heather on TikTok, said, except I'm one of those people that fell in love with the books. And when I tell you that I walked out of Goblet of Fire so vastly disappointed and unhappy, I almost didn't watch the rest of the films. I'm not exaggerating. There's large chunks of the story that aren't told. Character personalities completely changed. When I tell you that there is plenty of room for this TV show, I am not exaggerating. There's tons of stuff that was left out. What is important to understand is by having a television show that allows us to explore more accurate versions of the story. It doesn't take away from the nostalgic movies that came out either. It's kind of like Cinderella and Romeo and Juliet or Pride and Prejudice. They've done these films over numerous times, and yet people still go and see them every single time. Some stories are iconic and never die. This is one of those stories. I thought it was actually a really brilliant take by that person, because it's very much true. Despite how well beloved Harry Potter is, especially for people that love the books. I know people that love the books and are big fans of the movies themselves. One of the biggest complaints, and this isn't like a complaint of like, 200 people on the internet that nobody really cares about. Like, I feel like it's a vast, I don't want to say a complaint that people have, is the sense that while the movies are great, they have missed out on opportunities to tell aspects of the story that people really wish were kind of in the movies. And now we have that opportunity here in this show. And I think, especially as an HBO original series, I think this is going to impress a lot of people. And come award season, I think Harry Potter is going to be nominated for a vast amount of years, especially if we do get the full 8 or 9 seasons that they kind of want to make out of this particular this series. So first impressions, yeah, dude, as much as I want to hate this it's hard for me to say that this shit does not look good. It really does look pretty good. So yeah, I am kind of curious to know what everybody else thinks too.
Yeah, definitely let us know your thoughts as well.
I mean, I want to be a wizard. Luca, Harry Potter trailer looks phenomenal. Marshall Hill says, I'm glad it's going to be released in December because it's more likely to bomb, since more people will want to see Dune and Avengers. Well, it's definitely not a movie, so it's definitely hitting people more closely to home, but I can definitely understand that for sure.
There was also, so there was something that kind of reminded me of, going back to what you were saying about why do we need this, and there was also like, I don't know. I just find it funny that this is kind of becoming now more common. Like, except for the main difference here is that this time it was a film franchise that was successful. But when it came to other HBO shows that we've had before, because we had His Dark Materials, which was based on the Golden Compass book series, which tried to have a movie franchise, but it completely failed. So they tried again with TV, and it was successful. And then we had that exact same thing happen with Percy Jackson, where the movie franchise was just a complete failure, but then the TV show, a lot of people gravitated towards that more. So this is the first time we're kind of seeing it where now we have a movie franchise that was already successful. So now we're going to be seeing an already successful series get another adaptation. But I do kind of agree with the other comment too, which is like, because some of the books had to some of the movies had to cut a lot from the books because of timing. I think the fifth one is the one that a lot of people tend to bring up because the fifth one was so huge. I think the fifth book, the Order of the Phoenix. Yeah, Order of the Phoenix, if I'm not mistaken, was the largest Harry Potter book. Whereas the movie itself, I feel like so many important plot points from that book just were kind of like all
Goblet of Fire was pretty big too, I think.
Yeah, and I think like a lot of it was just done through montages, so I could see why that would have upset a lot of like fans of the book. So I think that the opportunity for the books to be more expanded on comes in the form of television. So I think when we get to the seasons like 4 and 5, when they adapt the really big books, when the franchise started to take the darker turn, I think that'll be interesting. That'll be when you kind of understand why it needed to be a TV show compared to a movie.
We also got Kiki and Luca, Philosopher's Stone versus Sorcerer's Stone. Yeah, I did catch that. It was Sorcerer's Stone, I believe, in the movie, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Only in the American release of the movie. If you watch the British release, they actually had the actors dubbing their lines, saying their lines twice with both versions in all of it. But yeah, in the UK releases of the movies, it was Philosopher's Stone, which I like more. I don't know why they changed it to Sorcerer, because apparently Philosopher Stone is something that us Americans are too dumb to like know about. Even though it's been referenced in so many American, things. I see it. There's like a lot of, so I watch movies on Tubi all the time because it's just fun watching random bad movies. And the Philosopher's Stone is like a very common MacGuffin in a lot of like kind of in a lot of fantasy horror. So it's like, I don't know. I think they should have kept the name.
Probably right. I have faith. HBO does shows as good or better as anyone else. They really do. Tony Robinson's Stewart, facts. The kids from It, Welcome to Derry are so good. Yeah, they really are. They really are good. Princess Weeks echoes those same talking points 100% when discussing about the Snape factor. Frankie even says, I tend to agree with Stewart. Of all the characters to race swap, I don't think that he was the one. The optics aren't good. Yeah, you might be right. I think I will be kind of curious to see how it's played out that way. I mean, I guess I never thought about it that way in regards to like other aspects of the story, how that could play out once you turn Snape black, because yeah, there are some tropes for sure that's definitely frowned upon in or not other areas for sure.
Yeah. And like as for Marcelino saying that he brought this up before, I think because at the time the only thing I was thinking of was the very first movie where, so I was only thinking about that aspect of hey, I think Snape is suspicious, which I think if it was that factor alone, but I think it was just because the internet memes have been coming out recently, I was reminded of, oh, that's right, he was bullied too by Harry's dad.
Yeah, dude. We'll see. I'm sure there'll be plenty of drama when it drops for sure. But look, guys, let us know your thoughts in regards to the Harry Potter new trailer that wind up dropping. What's your mindset in regards to it after checking out the first trailer? Let us know your thoughts in the live chat or the comment section box below. And from that IP to another, Stuart, some big IPs being discussed here this week. Starfleet Academy is in the news here early in the week, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think I did a video for this news on YouTube, but I did go ahead and talk about it over on our TikTok page. I wanted to talk with you too, Stuart, because of the fact that you are a big Star Trek fan. We never really got the opportunity to even sit down with Will and talk about it with him, which we probably should. But unfortunate news for Trek fans that were big fans of the Starfleet Academy series, as earlier this week, it has been announced that the series will be canceled after its second season. And what makes this worse, Stuart, is season 2 is said to end on a cliffhanger, according to one of the showrunners as well, which is a little bit of a bummer. So let's go ahead and dive into this new article. I believe this came to us from Variety. Yeah, let's bring up this Variety article. Starfleet Academy set to, if this thing will load for me here. This load on your side yet? No. Can't access screen. Try capturing a different screen. Okay, let me try it again. What happened? Okay, dang it. Never mind.
Well, it's just camera shy, obviously.
Yeah, is my camera even working right now? Hey.
You're frozen a little bit, but I can still hear you.
Okay, yeah, I am frozen. I'm glad I'm not frozen on some dumbass picture though. Am I back yet? Am I back? No, I think my browser's still my browser's still kind of working. It's all right. It looks like it's gonna be delayed. I'm gonna try and pull up this page again. But anyway, man, is my internet even working? Can you hear me still, Stuart?
I can still hear you.
Okay, I can't even go between pages now. My shit. Okay, here we go.
Oh, there we go. You're caught up.
Okay, yeah, because I think I had to.
I spoke too soon.
I'm back though. I'm back. I think I'm back.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't pull up the page yet. I'm gonna try and reload this page here in just a little bit. But yeah, unfortunate news. Star Trek, Starfleet Academy has been canceled after its second season here. I don't know what the metrics were like ratings wise for Starfleet Academy in season 1. I believe it. I don't recall if it hit the top 10 Nielsen ratings or not. Maybe like once or twice. I'm not quite sure or if it ever did. I feel like it's definitely been a divisive season for some fans. I don't want to sit on here and say, true Star Trek fans appreciated it, because I'm sure there were definitely some Star Trek fans that weren't necessarily the biggest fans of it, but I certainly was. While I try and pull up this article again, Stuart, let me know, what are your thoughts on Starfleet Academy being canceled? Are you surprised? Are you not surprised? Did you kind of see this coming? Where's your head at in regards to its cancellation?
Like, I can't say I'm surprised, because we've known for a while now that it seems that Paramount wants to kind of take Star Trek in a very different direction, because we've known for a while that they were trying to end what was going on with Star Trek currently. So we currently had Star Trek Strange New Worlds, and I think the only thing, which is also slated to end at season 5. In fact, I think its 5th and final season is supposed to be reduced to only like half the amount of episodes that normally would get. So I think instead of like 10 episodes, it's going to be like 5. So it was clear that Paramount wanted to kind of end the current era of Star Trek. It's just too bad that the show came on when it did, like during that time period, because I do think that if this show aired earlier, just by like a year or two, this feels like it could have gone on for at least 5 seasons. I don't know what the ratings are for this, but like, I don't imagine they were bad, because what this show did, something that Star Trek Discovery tried and failed to do, this show managed to feel modern and yet still maintained all the messaging and the vision of Gene Roddenberry's original, Star Trek, concepts. So basically it feels modern. It connects to new audiences. And I can say this for a fact, because on TikTok, I've been coming across so many people who are now into Star Trek because of Starfleet Academy. This show has brought on more new Trek fans than I mean, I don't think there's been a single Star Trek property that has brought in this many fans since the 2009 J.J. Abrams movie. So this show accomplished so much, and it's too bad that we don't get to see that those accomplishments getting expanded on, because unfortunately it's coming to its end like way too early. Yeah, because I think this show should have gone on for at least 5 seasons. Like I would have loved to have had like 4 seasons of them at the Academy, and then at least 1 season of them actually working together on a ship. Even if they're not together, like I would have loved to see like an entire season of them working in Starfleet. Like, and maybe that would be the tragedy of season 5, is that we'd still follow all the main characters. But, you know, much like most people who, you know, end up having a career after college, they don't end up with, serving with the people that they, you know, spent time with, the people that helped get them to where they are. I think that could have been such a good story to have. So it just sucks that there's so much, so many places the show could have gone to. And unfortunately, we're never really going to see it expanded on, at least not in its current format. Like I could see them kind of continuing it in the comic books or in an animated series, or I would love to see even a movie, but yeah, it's too bad. And like, okay, so here's the other thing. So Kiki and Luca just asked why the show was divisive. I don't think the divisiveness was as bad as the internet tried to make it look. I'm sure there were Star Trek fans that didn't like it, and that's fine, because the show at the end of the day was going for a young audience. So if anything, it would make total sense for me if someone in their like, you know, 40s, 50s, 60s who loved the original show just couldn't connect with this. That makes sense, because it's not trying to connect to an older audience, it's trying to connect to a younger audience. But the strong hatred for this show, I don't think there's any Star Trek fans, and I mean like actual fans, that hated this show. I think that just comes from people like Elon Musk and a bunch of other people on Twitter that have these incredibly terrible takes that are very much like, hey, show me you haven't watched Star Trek without showing me you haven't watched Star Trek. Like the moment you complain that fat people in glasses exist in the future, it's like you've already just straight up told me that you've never seen Star Trek before. I mean, the whole thing in the original movies, you know, we had all the cast and characters, you know, they kept them around, and it's not like they didn't have like the traditional Hollywood action hero bods or anything like that. They had like regular, they grew guts, basically, is what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to find a polite way of saying they gained weight during the movies, but you know, they still felt like, you know, action, like heroes that we wanted to follow, you know, basically as they explored the galaxy. And William Shatner's Captain Kirk, he gained weight and he wore glasses in the movies. He wore reading glasses. So, you know, when I see someone complaining about, you know, about stuff like that, it's just like, you're just telling me you're not a real Star Trek fan. And that's the thing, that while I'm sure there are Star Trek fans that just didn't connect with the show, I'm sure they exist, I don't believe any real Star Trek fans hated this show. I think that if you hated the show, I don't think you were ever a true Star Trek fan. So yeah, that's my opinion anyways.
Yeah, you know, it is, you know, it is funny that people do tend to tell on themselves when they complain about particular things, because 9 times out of 10 it does make me feel like, did you even watch the episode? Did you even watch the show? Have you watched Star Trek before? Like it's just, it just really baffles me that people who claim to be Star Trek fans have a problem with diversity on this show. Like like the whole premise of Star Trek is literally around diversity and the concept of humanity, like squashing all of that stuff to get where they're at in the stars. Like the only way that humanity even made their way to the stars was having to deal with their own issues on Earth and actually focus on what matters, and that's progress and each other and moving forward. So like the idea of like just understanding Star Trek and then complaining about Star Trek when there's diversity, I'm like, what is happening right now? Like, are you watching the same thing that I'm watching all this time? It's just so it just, people tell on themselves a lot of the time when they complain about these things. And so I'm bummed with you too, and I think you're absolutely right, Stuart, in the sense of like, had this merger not happened, or had Starfleet Academy dropped 4 or 5 years ago, I think we would have gotten a full 4 or 5 seasons out of this show easy, like hands down. But I do believe because of the merger, because of who owns Paramount right now, they have been open about the idea of like um they have been open about the idea of them wanting to kind of start fresh or start over or have their own particular vision of Star Trek. I am kind of curious if that includes still bringing in the showrunner currently of all things Star Trek related. I believe he's probably still going to be involved in some way, shape, or form, but that tends to happen when we have new management, is that sometimes they do want to start things over in their own particular vision. And a part of me feels like they probably weren't fans of the show anyway, if I had to kind of guess. So I do think you're right, though, in the sense of the timing for this show could not have been worse. Because there were elements, especially after this season and seeing how the cadets kind of came together, especially in the season finale, and seeing them um successfully get out of the situation that they found themselves in. A part of me was thinking, man, I would love to see them working on their own ships one day, whether that be actually together as a group, or separate. There's even elements of like, hey, if we are going to get ourselves a new Star Trek movie, can maybe one or two of these characters like pop back up somewhere? Like, I would love to see them on a starship at some point in time. And so the fact that these stories aren't going to get the opportunity to be told or fleshed out even further after season 2, I think is just just an absolute tragedy, to be honest with you. I mean, there are, I would say, just going back to what Kiki, what's the reason for the divisiveness? I do think a lot of it is just comes from the idea of this being just a fresh new take for Star Trek, really going for like the Gen Z audience. I didn't realize until you mentioned it, Stuart, just how open this series was for new people to kind of get invested. When I talked about my thoughts on TikTok, one of the things that I said was, for some reason, the trailers of this show just felt very easy for me to jump on board. Like, as somebody that doesn't consider themselves a Trekkie or a true Star Trek fanboy, while I've dibbled and dabbled in the franchise periodically for years, I haven't really invested my time to sit down and watch every episode of a Star Trek season, probably since Voyager. Like, I'm not gonna lie, like nothing, like even though Strange New Worlds, like Discovery drew me in, but I stopped halfway through the first season. I remember seeing Strange New World and thinking, oh, that looks like something I'd be interested in. And I just never watched it. But for some reason, Starfleet Academy just felt so appealing to me that I'm like, this is gonna be it. This is the show. And I literally came back week after week, and I continued to be more impressed after each and every episode. Do I think this season was perfect? No, I don't. I definitely had some issues with the show itself from time to time. Like, I didn't care about the love story aspect of things, the Tamira and Caleb, blah, like, please, I don't care about that stuff. And I'm gonna be honest, even the Klingon Jaden stuff kind of rubbed me the wrong way, because I think I had to kind of get over my own biases of what a Klingon is meant to be, right? And then I remember the teachings of Gene Roddenberry from the original Star Trek episodes, or even watching Star Trek Enterprise, and just recognizing how much time has passed in this universe from my understanding of what Klingons are from early renditions of Star Trek to like 800 plus years later. Like, you can't tell me that societies don't change. You can't tell me that people don't progress and become their own people and their own things. And all of that is Star Trek to me, or that's what the fundamentals of Star Trek should be, to where when I think about that, the Jaden stuff just doesn't even bother me or concern me anymore, because progress is real, especially over 900 years worth of time, sort of thing. And so there's just a lot of Star Trek in Starfleet Academy. And while yes, it does go more younger skewing, more fast paced, At times, some of the character arcs I don't necessarily care for. I think the truth of what Star Trek is very much fundamental on this show. And when it wants to be full on Star Trek, oh man, it's great Star Trek, dude. It's really great Star Trek. The last 2 episodes were just amazing to me. Holly Hunter, Paul Giamatti, Tatiana Maslany, just knocked it out of the park for me, and the crew just finally coming together just really works. So unfortunately, I'm really upset that we don't get the opportunity. Like it's funny because I immediately think of the Acolyte in the sense of like seasons that I wanted more, like shows that I wanted more of and felt that they deserved to have the opportunity to breathe. This show was like 10 times better than the Acolyte. And the fact that it doesn't get that opportunity to breathe even more, it just feels even more of a tragedy, if you ask me. And so, yeah, man, I'm kind of bummed. And I think that's what happens when you got mergers and you got people that have just crazy ass ideologies that want to change things up, that kind of take away the fun and the things that we love. So unfortunate, really unfortunate.
Very. I'll say this though, I really hope the set designers for this show, because we have the new Mass Effect TV series that's currently like in production on Amazon, dude. Pick up the set designers from this show, because there were some backgrounds that I swear reminded me, like, you know, straight up of the Citadel from Mass Effect. Also other areas that would remind me of Grissom Academy from Mass Effect 3. So man, Amazon, if anyone working at Amazon is watching this podcast, pick up this set designer for Mass Effect, please.
I will say, I didn't really care about the lens flares. There's so many lens flare moments in this damn show. I'm like, look, I love JJ Abrams, but that's one thing you don't need to bring over from JJ Abrams all the time. It's like every scene, I'm just like a glare in my eyes. I'm trying to watch the show, like, please, guys. But outside of that, and some of the Gen Z aspects of it, I really enjoyed this show, man. I was hella impressed week after week.
Yeah, I think like I'm right there with you. It wasn't perfect. I definitely had some issues with it. You know, like I think that like specifically when it came to kind of like writing the conflict aspect of it, where you just had like kind of the war college students just being like the most generic bullies because we have to have our prank war episode. Like that's where I'm like, okay, this is a little bit too like, I think like some of the humor in the show would have been great for Lower Decks. I think just some of the humor that they bring into live action, it just didn't sit right with me seeing it in live action. Whereas like I'm like, I probably would have laughed at this joke if it was animated. Like even the first episode when you had like the one cadet being like, I swallowed my communicator, and the doctor's like, already? I'm like, I probably would have laughed a lot more if this was on Lower Decks, because I could see that happening on Lower Decks. But yeah, nitpicks aside though, like this show had so much potential, and it really sucks. Does. I hope they're able to reshoot the ending of season 2, because you guys know me. I hate cliffhanger endings so much, and with this taking place in the far future, I'm assuming the Star Trek movie reboot with the D&D directors, I'm assuming it's going to go before that. Yeah, I don't think I think it's going to take place before Starfleet Academy. So if it ends on a cliffhanger, we're never going to get a resolution to it, I don't think. Yeah,
that's one of the things I did share on TikTok was I don't know how far into production season 2 is, or I think they might have already wrapped it, but I'm kind of curious if Paramount is willing to spend any more money on like possible reshoots just to wrap up the finale at least properly for season 2 or not, or if they're even going to want to spend that type of money. I really don't know, but a part of me is kind of hoping that whatever does come next, I am kind of hoping it's after Star Trek Starfleet Academy, just so that we can continue pushing forward in that regards. Tony does say, I hope that the FCC swat the merger.
Yes.
I am kind of curious as to what could potentially happen. Well, I guess with the merger, that's likely, that will only affect Warner Brothers. I don't think that's going to affect Paramount. Paramount's already sold to the Ellisons now that they picked it up from Skydance. So I don't think that's gonna change it. But a part of me was thinking, man, if they swatted down this merger, maybe they just continue Starfleet Academy. But no, it's solely Paramount, not anything to do with Warner Brothers in that regards. But Yeah, man, it's really unfortunate. Like, you know, even like the Darum character is a really great. I think it was maybe episode 3 or 4, where it's really focusing on him and his life and like how much of a perfectionist he is and how, you know, top of the grade that he wants to be and how he views Genesis sort of as like his competition, like out of everybody. And him really struggling to kind of be the captain and teamwork and allowing other people to shine where Genesis was like perfect for that type of thing. Um, I love the finale for that episode in the sense of Darum understanding and embracing what it is that the Starfleet Academy offers and the mentality of Starfleet and the ability of working together and understanding everybody's strengths and sort of being humble and allowing other people to grow around you, sort of thing. Like, just to kind of have that growth of a character for even them to understand the importance of Starfleet and how much it improves people as a whole. When I see things like that, I just think to myself, like, I think Gene Roddenberry would be so pleased with an episode like this, you know, to kind of see people have that ability to grow and to be able to grow with different species and aliens and other people around you to kind of build that level of camaraderie. So it's just it's moments like that that made me really perk up my ears, like, damn, this is something special about this show. Just again, really unfortunate. But if you guys had the opportunity to check out Starfleet Academy, please go ahead and let us know your thoughts in the comment section box below.
Definitely.
Kiki and Lucas says, I just rewatched J.J. Abrams' Star Trek movie with the Giacchino soundtrack. It's awesome. The beginning with Hemsworth is something else. You do. Probably one of the best openings for a movie I have seen in a long time. Like that, like it doesn't matter how many times I've seen that Star Trek movie. The Hemsworth opening to Star Trek gives me goosebumps every time before going into that movie. And I'm glad you brought up Michael Giacchino doing the soundtrack for that, because it was absolutely stellar. But yeah, that scene alone gets me hyped for that movie.
Yeah, there was, oh man, it's too bad because one of the scrapped ideas for the 4th movie was going to be like time travel in some way, shape, or form. So we would have had Chris Hemsworth coming back as James Kirk's dad.
Oh, I remember that. That would have been dope to see that play out. But yeah, guys, who knows what the future of Star Trek is certainly going to be after Starfleet Academy and after Paramount kicks things off with Star Trek. But we'll keep you guys posted, to say the least. And then, you know, while we didn't have any Marvel news here for you guys today, we did have some DCU news fresh off of the success of Project Hail Mary that's in theaters right now. We did talk about Project Hail Mary on our last movie episode, Let's Talk Movies, on Monday. We gave you guys our review of it. I believe we graded it an A-. But Project Hail Mary is going bananas at the box office right now, getting some high praise, especially for those directing it, Lord and Miller. While they didn't write Project Hail Mary, I believe the writer of Project Hail Mary adapted the book. Drew Goddard was the adaptive screenwriter for it. But Lord and Miller are definitely getting their flowers for directing this live action movie. So much so that the idea of what their next potential movie could be is now on the horizon, or at least has certainly people talking. And in recent interviews, Stuart, Lord and Miller wind up dropping that if they could tackle any superhero movie, one of their movies on their mind is none other than The Flash. That's right, The Flash, baby. So we got ourselves an article from Games Radar that talks that Lord and Miller have a pitch for The Flash. Whether or not it's a movie that will certainly happen, we'll certainly have to wait and see. But let's hear what they had to say in regards to this. So again, this is from GamesRadar.com. Over 10 years later, Spider-Verse's Lord and Miller are still hoping to make their very elaborate Flash movie at DC. It says filmmakers Lord and Miller were attached to the DC's The Flash way back in 2015, believe it or not, developing their own plans for the film. Even though they wound up departing the project, they still got their treatment in their back pocket in the hopes that they'll get to make it someday. They say, we had a very elaborate treatment, is what Miller says in the interview, with Lord elaborating that it was pretty different from the film that actually came to fruition. It's a good idea, and I'm afraid to not be able to use it someday. Lord explains when asked what the plot would have been. That's all I can say. So he doesn't want to put it out there for their idea to kind of be stolen or anything like that, or used later on. He says, we like the stuff. We get intrigued by stuff that's intriguing. Lord and Miller wound up departing the Flash in part to work on Lucasfilm's Solo Star Wars story, a project that they were essentially fired from. Director Ron Howard coming in to replace them landed with something of a thud, but it's entirely likely that might have happened regardless of who was at the helm. As we all know, DC did move forward with the Flash. So far, current DC mastermind James Gunn hasn't specifically announced plans for the Flash, likely giving the character some breathing room before trying again, probably with a new actor and a totally different story. If and when it's time to give the Flash another cinematic leap, Lord and Miller could be pretty good choices to tackle the speedster. So yeah, man, we got Lord and Miller in the news potentially for wanting to do a Flash movie. Looks like they were set to do a Flash movie, but apparently got pulled away by Lucasfilm to do the Solo movie, and unfortunately got fired from that job as well. Look, let me start this off and just say I am so torn right now, Stuart, and I am just torn because of the idea that, one, if you were to ask me, would Lord and Miller do a great job with the Flash? Abso-freaking-lutely they would. I think Flash is like the perfect light-hearted character. I don't want to say like if there was an equivalent to a Spider-Man in the DCU, it would probably be the Flash. I don't know if that's true or not, but when I think of like a lightheartedness that don't take themselves seriously, that don't mind a couple of quick quips here and there, you know, a little jokey here and there, I feels like the Flash could easily be one of those characters that Lord and Miller could have a lot of fun with, whether that be the science aspect, the fantasy aspect, the nerdy and goofy aspect of things that would go along well with their humor. I just feel like they would make a great Flash movie. But then if you were to ask me, Adam, do you want to see Lord and Miller do a Flash movie or a Spider-Man movie, which I have been like praising to the gods to please give me one day? I probably still would say Spider-Man, bro. And so just because, one, I think Sony Pictures needs a win, and I think a win for them would look like a Lord and Miller Spider-Man movie. So that's where I would lean towards. But damn, if I don't want to see a Lord and Miller the Flash, can they do both? I mean, can we juggle both somehow, please? Can they go like back and forth? I just feel like once James Gunn gets their hands on them, they're probably going to be stuck in the DCU for quite some time. And there's a part of me that doesn't want that, but I do kind of want that. So I'm really like on the fence about this. I do think that James Gunn is paying attention. I think Lord and Miller have done with Project Hail Mary such great things for their career, in the sense of, while I think we always recognize them as really great, I think the idea of what they're doing now with Project Hail Mary has probably garnered more people's attention, and it would be hard for me to imagine that James Gunn doesn't have them in his sights in some capacity or another. But like James Gunn has always said, it's all about script first, right? That script has got to be hella good for them to want to go ahead and make that movie. And as long as it's not too far similar to that of what we got in the first Flash movie, then I would be okay with them kind of exploring it. I would say, though, if there is anything that I would ask of this Flash movie, and I don't necessarily believe that this is what Lord and Miller would do, there's a part of me that thinks that they're more Barry Allen Flash than Wally West Flash. And I want a Wally West movie. Although I would be kind of curious if they can interchange that character in their plot. Who knows? I don't even know what the plot of their movie certainly is. Maybe it is a Wally West focused movie. But I would want Wally West in that position, simply because of, I think Wally West has been established as the Flash DCU from the Creature Commandos animated series. So it'll be interesting to see. So do I see them doing a Flash movie? I think the possibilities are certainly high. But if you were to ask me, Stuart, please give me the Spider-Man movie first, man. They're so good in that particular world. I really want to see him do Spider-Man again. But yeah, I would love to see this regardless, Stuart.
I think I'm gonna go opposite round. I'm gonna say I would rather see them do the Flash, and main reason because we've already seen what they can do with Spider-Man and IP, and while it is amazing, I think after a trilogy it's time to pass the baton to someone else. And the other thing too is that yes, while Sony does really need a win when they reboot the Spider-Man movies, if they want to keep the universe going, I'm not too worried about another good Spider-Man movie because we already got a decent franchise with the MCU. And then lastly, and this one might be somewhat of a hot take, I do think that Spider-Man is one of those characters that can be adapted by other visions as well. I don't think he's the most challenging character to adapt because he's so known by a lot of people. A lot of people, can connect with him in one way or another since he's so easy to connect with. I feel like there's tons of good writers and directors out there that can make their own reboot of Spider-Man, and have their own very unique take. That all being said, though, yeah, them doing the Flash, though, because I feel like the Flash is a character that, while a lot of people know of the hero, not a lot of people know of the man behind the mask. Not a lot of people know of Barry Allen or Wally West. So that's kind of where I think Lord and Miller would come in, and I think they would do an amazing job with a character like the Flash. I'm very curious to know what Flash would have been like if the two of them had stuck on. I didn't know they were slated to write that movie and then left for Solo, where they got fired, unfortunately. We still don't know the details of why they got fired from Solo, but one of my friends jokes and says, "Oh yeah, they Disney wanted a lighter tone, so they hired comedy writers, but then the comedy writers made it too dark, so then they hired a serious director to make it more comedy or to make it more funny." I don't know if that's actually accurate, but if it is the case, that is kind of hilarious. But yeah, I would have loved to have seen what either the Flash or the Solo movie would have looked like under their vision, because as we've kind of seen throughout the years, these guys are really talented. They know how to write huge epic scope films, as we see with the Spider-Man movies, with the Cross and Into the Spider-Verse. They can write these films with a huge, massive scope and yet still give you characters that feel so real, so grounded in reality, and they're just easy to connect with. I think, that was something that they perfected with Into the Spider-Verse. And I think they could, if they took that writing style and they brought that into the Flash, whether animated or live action, I think, I'm not much of a gambler. All right. I would, if you had to ask me to gamble on this one, I would. I don't know what I have. That would be any value to gamble for it, but I would gamble it. I would gamble almost anything on this movie to say that it would, at the very least, maybe not be successful financially, but it would be critically successful. It would be a great movie that most people can look at and go, yes, objectively, this is a good film. That's what I would gamble for this. I think that the two of them doing a Flash movie is just so perfect. If James Gunn is smart, he will not turn them down, or he'll at least try to work with them on something in the future. Yeah. Oh, you are muted.
Yeah, I definitely think this is a gimme. I think this would be a shame for James Gunn to at least not at least even consider it, because I do think that people certainly would come out to see this Flash movie, especially if they knew it was from the people that did Project Hail Mary. So yeah, I do think it would be a great film, something I would certainly look forward to for sure. I am interested. You brought up the Solo movie. People, I do see people saying after watching Project Hail Mary, that they really would have loved to have seen what they were able to do on Solo, or at least are now questioning why Lucasfilm fired them in the first place. I I think it's one. I think it's unfair to say that Lord and Miller are the same people that they were when they did Solo. I think they might have been in different places in their career at the time. I don't know if it would have worked or not, but I just don't know. Even after seeing Project Hail Mary, if I'm confident in saying the Solo movie definitely would have worked. Looking at some of the reasons, key details on their firing, creative differences. It says their comedic approach clashed with the vision of producers and screenwriters who desired a specific and tighter tone to the character. There were some production issues. It says reports indicated the directors were shooting few angles, leading to issues in editing and encouraging heavy improvisation, which frustrated the studios and delayed production. It says improved shooting style that fell behind schedule. I mean, God, look at Beyond the Spider-Verse. That's animated, and they're still behind schedule on stuff like that, right? So I do think some of those things are certainly warranted. I mean, we'll never really know because of the fact that they scrapped the movie, but it says they were fired with 3 weeks left of filming left. So I gotta imagine there's a pretty big chunk of this movie footage out there of what this movie could have been. I'm surprised nobody's kind of leaked it, to be honest with you, because it feels like the footage is certainly out there, just not edited and really kind of put together. But I wouldn't have minded to seeing what it would have looked like. I'm not confident enough to say, oh yeah, this movie would have been great. Maybe in hindsight, it feels different after watching something like Project Hail Mary, but this was definitely before Project Hail Mary for sure. So who knows? Who knows what they were capable of back then?
So I can't say for sure that Solo would have been great. I still really want to see what it would have looked like.
I would have been. Yeah, I would have been interested for sure. Yeah, for sure. What are you guys saying in regards to this? Tony Robbins says they could do Booster Goal as well. That'd be interesting.
Ooh, yeah.
Marcelino says Ryan Reynolds was originally supposed to play the Flash, specifically Wally West version in the late 2000s or the early 2010s, but never got made. Interesting.
The pitch for that movie was actually kind of interesting because it would have been like Wally West accidentally gets Barry Allen killed, and so there's like an even bigger hesitancy for him to like take up the mantle. And then you would have had like Thawne working with him at the police station, and it would have been kind of similar to the show where it's like, oh no, I thought Henry Wells was my friend this whole time, but it turns out he was my arch nemesis.
Marcelino says the Wally West cameo in Creature Commandos was so vague that if James Gunn wanted to go back on this and go in a direction with the Flash, they could just change it another character like Vigilante. That's true. It is relatively vague. I mean, it's like you blink, you miss it in Creature Commandos. Or if you didn't hear the interview of James Gunn suggesting that is Wally West in the Flash or in the Vision in Creature Commandos, then yeah. So I would agree with you, Marcelino. I do think it's such a small detail that they easily could change it if they wanted to.
I see, because the costume does look kind of like Kid Flash.
Yeah, if anything, I would say based off where the comic books are at right now, I believe in the comic books, Wally West is the main Flash for the main title of the Flash as of right now. So I would assume that Wally West would also want him to be maybe the lead in their Flash movie, but who knows? I really have no idea. We'll see whenever that happens though.
I don't know how fans would feel about this. For me, I would probably, if I was in charge of the universe, I would have Wally West be the main Flash, Wallace West be Kid Flash, and not mention Barry Allen for the specific reason of implying this could be a post-crisis universe. And what had happened after Barry, sacrificed himself is he was kind of like gone from the universe until the DC reboot. Or not DC reboot, sorry, until the Flash Rebirth, not to be confused with the Flash Rebirth from 2012, but like the Flash Rebirth from the early 2000s. So that's the direction I would kind of take it.
I kind of dig that this world is a post-crisis world. I kind of dig that. We'll see what direction they go though. But yeah, guys, let us know your thoughts at the end of the day in regards to Lord and Miller wanting to do a Flash movie. Is that something you'd be interested in seeing? Let us know your thoughts. I may cancel out this last. I got 2 more stories, but I may cancel out this last one. So we'll see how we do on time. But let's move over now to the world of John Wick. That's right. John Wick is in the news because another spinoff is on the way, Stuart. We had reported to you a long time ago that Donnie Yen's character in John Wick 4, Caine, is set to go ahead and get himself a spin-off movie. We have had one spin-off movie already with Ballerina that came out, I believe that was last year, right? 2024, 2025? I can't remember now.
Yeah, it was 2024, I think.
2024, right? Enjoyed the movie. Definitely felt like it probably could have been better in certain aspects. We had ourselves a John Wick cameo in the Ballerina movie, but I definitely felt that Ballerina felt like a proper sort of John Wick spinoff and felt very natural to fit in that world. And now it is time for Donnie Yen to step up to the plate. And it looks as though, Stuart, production is going to be beginning rather soon. Let's go ahead and bring up this article. This one comes to us, I believe, from deadline.com. Looks like we got ourselves a production date. John Wick spinoff about blind assassin Caine gearing up production under Donnie Yen's direction. Exclusive Lionsgate John Wick spinoff, the Untitled Caine Project, which will see Donnie Yen directing and reprising his role as the blind assassin, will begin production next month, so in April. The project will follow Caine's story in the events post Chapter 4. The hitman freed from his obligations to the High Table. Mattson Tomlin wrote the screenplay. His most recent credits include The Batman Part 2 and an adaptation to the Keanu Reeves created book, comic book, Berserker. It says, this is what Donnie Yen had to say. What drew me to Caine is the contradiction. He carries love, responsibility, and sacrifice in a world built on consequences. That creates a very different kind of action hero. This film is an opportunity to push the genre forward. My goal is to create the most definitive martial arts infused action film ever made. One that honors what audiences love about John Wick while bringing a new emotional depth and visual language to the story. As both director and actor, I'm excited to shape this chapter in a way that reflects everything I've learned over decades in action cinema while building something that feels entirely new. Stuart, give me this movie already, bro. Give me this movie already. What do you think about this, though?
Oh yeah, I'm hella excited for this. Love Donnie Yen as an actor, and I really enjoyed his role in the John Wick 4. So the idea of expanding that character, and not to mention getting to see more of this world as a whole, yeah, sign me up as well. I can't wait to see like what they do when it comes to the action scenes in this. And then one thing that John Wick definitely knows how to do is like, while the stories and plot lines might not be the most complex things, I think that usually the performances are definitely what kind of carry them. So I think that this is going to be one of those action movies that people are going to remember for a long time because, it's going to have that emotional weight that the other John Wick movies have always done such a good job of. Ballerina was one. I'm surprised it underperformed because I actually really enjoyed that movie. I think my only problem with that movie, and I brought this up before, is that the power scaling made absolutely no sense at all. like she could take down an entire village of people trying to kill her, but she can't land a single punch on John Wick, and it's like John Wick's powerful, don't get me wrong, but he's not like a god like they kind of treat him in that movie. I think they kind of
he's the boogeyman, Stuart. He's the boogeyman.
He is, but like, man, we see him in his own movie struggling a lot more, against in one-on-one fights than he does against her, and yet she's somehow able to take down an entire village but not land a single punch. Like the power scaling is it's a little inconsistent. That's my only complaint about Ballerina. Not very consistent power scaling. But joke complaint aside, I do look forward to seeing this world kind of expand more. Like I still have yet to see the Continental spinoff show. But yeah, I don't even know if I'm interested in the Continental spinoff show, if I'm being honest, but I am really looking forward to this regardless.
Yeah, he Marshall just say, yeah, we also had the Continental spinoff with a younger Winston. I don't even necessarily know if they view that as canonical or not. I feel like they almost don't even want to necessarily touch touch that. So that's why I think I only talked about Ballerina a little bit. But yeah, Kiki and Luca agree with you. Ballerina was really good. Too bad it underperformed. I'm trying to see. Ballerina was good, but it didn't have a sequel bait at the end. Plus, I feel like the sister plot line was underwhelming and wasted potential. Yeah, definitely a little bit. Some things that it certainly could have elaborated on or done a little bit better. But yeah, when it comes to this movie, man, I honestly cannot wait, Stuart. I am a big fan of martial arts sort of action films. Talking about movies like The Raid 2. I mean, you could maybe even put in a little bit of I don't want to say necessarily martial arts, but just great action movies. They Will Kill Us had some really great choreography in it when it comes to fight sequences. The John Wick stuff, I kind of, while yes, it definitely is some level of martial arts, I still look at it as like gun fu to a certain extent. But the idea of like him trying reinventing or progressing this genre forward, like if there's any man that can do that, it's Donnie Yen's for sure. I mean, this guy is no slouch when it comes to directing, and now you ask him to direct a film in the John Wick franchise for a character that he's really passionate and seemingly loves. I cannot wait to see like some of the action pieces that he is going to be putting together in this movie. And it's just because of his past work too. I definitely don't expect it to just be all action. I do think that he is very much emotionally invested in this character in regards to Caine having a big impact from the storyline as well. I don't believe he's writing it, but because he knows the character as well as he does, I really cannot wait to see what he does with this movie here. I'm pretty stoked for this one, man. I think the John Wick franchise is in a really good spot right now in the sense of the things that they have created in this world feels very fitting to be in this world, and I think they've gotten the great talent around him, Ana de Armas, Donnie Yen, to kind of bring these characters to life. And especially if you've got somebody like Donnie Yen that can step up to the plate and also be a director for his film. I mean, man, I'm sure you can go back and just look at some of his directing work and be just as impressed with that stuff there. But now on a bigger stage, bigger budget, bigger characters. Yeah, I think I don't think he feels the pressure, but I do think he knows what a Caine movie has got to live up to in order to kind of fit the John Wick franchise, and I think he's more than capable.
Definitely.
So let us know your guys' thoughts. Marcy says, "What makes you say that they don't view the Continental spinoff show as canon?" I thought I read somewhere that they didn't, or that they were disappointed in it, displeased with it. But maybe I'll look that up again.
I just know the
Kiki
marketing
and
for it
Lucas,
was really bad.
John Wick was hurt and injured and kicked up. He was full strength on Ballerina. Yeah, man.
Yeah, and it like I said, it wouldn't have like bothered me as much, but it's like it's just the inconsistency is all. The fact that like we see in his own movies, like he struggles in one-on-one fights every now and then, like yes, he kicks a lot of ass. Like the three main things that keeps him alive is his skills, determination, and luck, right? Those are the three main things that you can say of why John Wick is the best at what he does, right? But even with that, a lot of people don't want to admit it, but luck does have a lot to do with it, of why he's survived for so long. So I don't know. It's just seeing him in his own movies, how, yeah, he kicks a lot of ass, but it's not like he does it without breaking a sweat. And then seeing him in Ballerina, where it's like he's God, and it's just like, okay, it's funny because Marcelino was saying it's like my argument. It goes like the opposite of what the anti-woke grifters would say. I would say that it almost feels like they wrote the scene specifically to avoid anti-woke grifters like bitching about the movie. It almost feels like that's what that scene was written there for. But yeah, that's just me. I still really liked Ballerina. Just again, inconsistent power scaling. but that's because I'm an anime nerd and I'm used to like, power scalings having rules and stuff.
To go back on the um idea of it being canon or not, it definitely might be canon. I'm just looking this up though. It's there are some like when I pull it up Google, like is Continental Series canon to John Wick, it says yes, it is considered canon to the John Wick franchise, but it does also suggest some things against it. So like production, it says while it expands the world, it was produced without major creative input from the main film team, with some stakeholders viewing it as a separate myth within a myth. And then you also had the gentleman that played Winston, Ian McShane, stated that he was not involved in the show and didn't watch it, acknowledging it as a separate entity as well. So I don't know. I would love to hear Chad Stileski talk a little bit more about the Continental. Maybe I'll look it up and see if he's had any other things. If he said any other things specifically in regards to it. So yeah, I mean, maybe it is canon, but I do think that there's been some pushback about it not being, but we'll see.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I'm going to I'm gonna remove this last story, Stuart, since we're about two and a half hours in already. So maybe we'll put this last story next week. But I don't think people are missing out too much, honestly. Tony Robinson says John Wick kicks more ass than a 9 to 5. Okay, I love it. But yeah, guys, let us know your thoughts on Donnie Yen getting his Caine movie set to go into production later on this year. Real quick side note, guys. At the end of the show, we always talk about where you can find us on social media. I did want to go ahead and highlight this. We are currently over on TikTok. If you want to find us on TikTok at Hero Report, you can do so right here. TikTok at Hero Report. We've got over 3,356 followers as of right now. We do a ton of movie trailers, some clips. I do new comic book polls throughout the week. And then every now and then we'll do some movie grading or talking about big news that winds up dropping. But if you do want to find us on TikTok at Hero Report. And Stuart, with that out of the way, man, I think you know what time it is.
I do indeed. And now, everybody, it is time for live viewer questions. And real quick, before you queue up or while you're queuing up the live viewer questions, I'm just going to be right back to go grab a refill.
All right, no problem. We'll see you in a little bit. So we've got our live viewer questions portion of the show for you guys here. Let me go ahead and pull this up so we can go ahead and get started. Give me one moment here. Make sure I go to my YouTube page. There we go. All right. So every Saturday afternoon or Saturday evening, if you want to submit a live viewer question, how do you do so? It's relatively simple. Just go over to our, oh, you know what? I think that's my watch history page. That is not what I wanted to pull up. There we go. That's better. Just go over to our main YouTube channel, as you see right here at Hero A+ Hero Report. Go over to our post tab, as you see right here, every Saturday afternoon or Saturday evening, and you will see a live viewer question post. Feel free to submit yours over if you haven't done so yet. We'll go ahead and sort this by newest to oldest, so we can go ahead and knock this out. So first and foremost, we got AJ, the morphing grid, Jason David Frank, the face of the Zeo powers. Jason David Frank as Tommy Oliver remains the original cast member to visually reprise his specific Zeo Ranger 5 Red form on screen during the major anniversary crossovers like Forever Red and Dimensions in Danger. While his teammates, Catherine, Rocky, and Adam, have frequently returned to the franchise, they have consistently pivoted back to their Mighty Morphin or the Turbo identities rather than utilizing their Zeo powers. The rest of the Zeo Rangers primarily returned in guest appearances through Japanese footage, such as a legendary battle or as Lightning Collection figures in Once and Always. Since the Zeo crystals were never depicted as destroyed or lost, why has the series predominantly reserved their specific power set for Tommy while transitioning the rest of the team to different mantles? Welcome back, Stuart. I don't know if you heard that or not. Real quick, shout out to Frankie with the $5 super chat today, man. Thank you so much for the love, Frankie. I know things are tight out there for people, man. So anything certainly helps. So thank you so much for your donation. Really goes a long way. But he was saying, Jason David Frank, the face of the Zeo powers, concerning the fact that he's the only original cast member to visually reprise his role as a Zeo Ranger, whereas the other Rangers, when they have come back, have always taken back up their Mighty Morphin mantle. So why has the season predominantly reserved this specific power set for Tommy while transitioning the rest of the team to different mantles?
That's a good question. I had that same exact question of why'd they even get rid of the Zeo powers to begin with when they replaced them with the turbo powers. Yeah, so I don't know. I guess like if I were to come up with an in-universe reason, maybe it's because the Zeo crystals started growing way too powerful and it became almost unstable. The only way you could stabilize it was with a master morpher, which maybe at the time Tommy was the only one who could get a hold of one. Yeah, that's the best I got.
Yeah, I mean, I really don't know. I mean, I don't know about an in universe thing, but clearly like the out of universe is that MMPR cells, and that was sort of like their very first Adam, Rocky, Catherine. I mean, their first suits were MMPR suits. So it makes sense that they would revert back to their originals, I guess. I think if we ever got to the point though of like if Walter and Adam ever came back for something, or I don't know why I say Walter, like Zach and Adam, or if Kimberly and Catherine ever came back for something, then you might get the opportunity to see them like in their Zeo and MMPR costumes. But I think if they have the option to always go MMPR, they will. I just think because Tommy is so popular and he offers so many different selections, it's like, let's just kind of have fun with it. It's not like he revisited that costume very often. I mean, we see it in Dino Thunder as part of his flashbacks and stuff, as part of his story. And then it pops back up again in the anniversary special very briefly. But outside of that, they don't really highlight Zeo just because of the popularity of MMPR. So I think it has more to do with the popularity of MMPR than it does the Zeo stuff. Peg C. Glenn Powell has been cast as Fox McCloud from Star Fox in Super Mario Galaxy movie. Do you think we'll get any more characters from Star Fox will appear in the movie? Who else would you like to see make a cameo? I got to think his whole group would make a cameo in the movie. Like all his other Starfighter pilots, whatever the other animals were, a rabbit and a rooster or some shit, or I don't remember what they all were now. But I would assume that they might pop up in the movie also. I don't know. Maybe it's just Fox McCloud and his Star Fox fighter. But I would think maybe he would have his squadron with him too, but maybe I'm wrong. What do you think, Stu?
I think like the rest of his squad would probably be reduced to like really quick cameos. I think like one of the reasons they want to bring his character into it is they just want to see if the kids like will connect with him as a character and whether or not a spin-off starring him in his own movie would work. So I would say that if his crew is in it, they're going to have extremely limited roles, and they may even be voiced by just, generic actors or like generic unknowns, with the intention being that if they made a sequel or a spin-off, to probably recast them. Sorry, placeholder was the word I was looking for. They may have placeholder voice actors that are intended to be like, only for their like small roles. So yeah, I'm kind of under the assumption that Star Fox will be kind of the only big one.
Are there any other cameos you would like to see in this movie?
I I don't know much about the Star Fox lore to say, but
No, I just mean maybe any other
oh.
Super Mario characters or in that Nintendo world that you would like to see make a cameo maybe in the movie.
Ooh, that's a good question.
There's a part of me because it says Galaxy that Samus might be in here, but you know, I guess the issue that I would have is like, all right, we have ourselves a Legends of Zelda movie that's going to be live action. Would Link ever even pop up in this animated film? And if so, are we then like contradicting the live action movie? Is it live action movie set in its own complete world? Can you have both? You know, if we want to do something like Smash Brothers, clearly a Link would have to be heavily involved in that, as he's, you know, one of the main characters. So I'm kind of curious what Nintendo's mentality is. If we're doing a live action Link, does that mean an animated Link can't pop up somewhere?
I kind of hope we do a little bit of both, like we do the live action Zelda movie, and then have Link, like, you know, as part of the Super Smash Brothers like movie, assuming that's even the direction that they're taking, which I still think it is. Like, assuming that's the direction they go, I feel like it would be a version of Link that could theoretically fit into the movie, but they wouldn't be like, they wouldn't try to step on each other's toes in terms of like how the character is written, but they wouldn't go out of their way to connect it directly to the movie. Like, you wouldn't have, like, if they made a sequel in Zelda 2, you wouldn't have Link being like, oh man, Zelda, you have no idea where I've just been. I just got involved in this like intergalactic fighting tournament. You know, I don't think you would get that, but I think you would get him in animated form in the Super Smash Brothers movie, and it might be played by the same actor. He might be voiced by the same actor, but I don't think they'll make any direct references to each other. I think they probably leave it out in the open, so like fans who watch both are like, they can decide whether it's canon or not.
Marcelino says they should do a Kirby cameo. Yeah, Kirby
that would fit in.
That would fit in really well. Yeah, I agree.
Kirby just eats the entire universe, and then that's how it ends.
He also says James Tolkien, who played the slacker-hating Mr. Strickland in Back to the Future films, the Carrier Air Group commanding officer Stinger in Top Gun, who was a part of the original Broadway cast, died Thursday in New York. He was 94. Oh no.
Aww.
The news was announced on the official Back to the Future website, which noted Tolkien passed away peacefully but did not provide a cause. What are your thoughts? So unfortunate, man. I loved him as Mr. Strickland, but wasn't he also damn, I don't know why a part of me was like, I'm trying to remember what other, I've seen him in a ton of other movies. My first thought was Ferris Bueller's Day Off, but I don't believe he was in that movie.
Oh no, that was the creepy dude that played the principal.
It's just really unfortunate passing, man.
Yeah, because man, I love him as an actor. Because what was the other? He was in Masters of the Universe, I think, didn't he? Play,
yes, he was the cop.
He was the cop in Masters of the Universe. That's right. Yes. Okay. Yeah. No, I love him as an actor. I really enjoyed him in Top Gun, and he's that character you love to hate in the Back to the Future franchise. So yeah, definitely, it's a tragedy that he's gone, but he will definitely never be forgotten.
He also asks, if the Michael Jackson biopic movie does well, do you think they should explore the life of Janet Jackson next? Man, that's a good one, because I know if the Michael Jackson movie does well, they probably will want to make the sequel, a second part to it. I am kind of curious if that's something that they're currently working on right now. But a Life of Janet Jackson movie, you know, it's interesting because this year, for this past year for Christmas, I just got a new Janet Jackson vinyl record from her time on Rhythm Nation back in was that late 80s, early 90s. I can't remember when Rhythm Nation wound up dropping, but I was a big Janet Jackson fan growing up. I view Janet Jackson probably very differently than other people. I kind of view Janet Jackson as like the Beyonce of my era before Beyonce became Beyonce. I don't know but then again, I don't know if she was as big as Beyonce back in the 90s, but I just remember she's had so many hits in her career. She even had this Super Bowl show that unfortunately just like after that moment, Stuart, like I feel like Janet Jackson's career just didn't go anywhere after that. It was almost like she was like taboo or something like that after the Super Bowl stuff.
Wait,
But
what was the Super Bowl thing?
she performed with Justin Timberlake, and they had the nip slip, the classic nip slip when he
Oh,
rips
that's
off
right.
the thing. I almost feel like after that, and then everything that happened with her brother kind of overshadowed her career. Yeah, Kiki and Lucas says Janet is underrated and legendary. I again, maybe it was because I grew up on Janet Jackson because my mom used to play her Rhythm Nation CD all the time in the car when we were at home. But I just remember hit after hit after hit. She was also in Poetic Justice, the movie, if I'm not mistaken, with Tupac. She was also in Good Times, according to Peg C as well. I looked at her as very, very big, very influential during the 80s and the 90s. So to me, she was very much the Beyonce before there was Beyonce. So that's where I really hold her in high regards. I just don't know if they would be willing to make a movie about her. I think she probably should have her own biopic. I don't know if people would appreciate it as much. Maybe millennials certainly might. But I don't know. I don't know if they do a Janet Jackson biopic. I wouldn't mind seeing one. I just don't know if they would.
Mhm.
Let's see here. Kiki Lucas says I've seen her in a concert several times. Interesting. Okay, very nice. I didn't know that. I think my mom has seen her as well, but I've never had the opportunity to see her. I remember when she did the music video Scream, her and Michael Jackson together. I mean, that was huge, especially during TRL's time. Big stuff happened for Janet. What else we got here? Tony Robinson. How do you guys feel that the Percy Jackson creators? How would you guys feel if the Percy Jackson creators reached out to Jonathan Entwistle to use his night theme he pitched for Power Rangers? That would have been pretty dope. I wouldn't mind seeing that. I don't think they would have though, but some of the things that I hear about Jonathan Entwistle stuff sounded really promising and very bold in regards to really taking big swings. So I am kind of curious as to like where the Percy Jackson's creators' mindset are at. I wouldn't have minded them utilizing a Knights theme though. I think that would have been kind of cool.
Yeah, I think so too. I think that if that's what they did with the Percy Jackson creators, they had already shown that they know how to do like really epic sword fights and just overall like fantasy aesthetics. So that would have been pretty unique. Yeah, I am curious what. Man, it sucks that like Netflix or Paramount weren't willing to take that risk with Jonathan Entwistle, because I do think he would have had something at least unique when it came to the Power Ranger franchise.
Yeah, I think so too. How well do you think all the superhero shows will do this year?
I think for the most part, Born Again is going to do really good. I think Lanterns, that's going to be the one I'm curious about. I think it's going to have some great ratings its opening day, viewership wise. As to whether or not people like stick around, it's really just going to have to depend on the writing and like what the overall mystery of the series is going to be that keeps people coming for more.
For what show?
Oh, for Lanterns.
Oh, Lanterns. Okay.
Yeah. I think Daredevil's going to do decent. It's been getting some very positive reviews. I know a lot of people weren't like big on the first episode, but from what the people who have like seen the entire season say, it just constantly gets better and better. So I think fans will enjoy Daredevil. So I think that'll do decent. What other? And then I think the one I'm most curious about, and I don't have an answer for this one in terms of predictions. I'm curious about X-Men 97 season 2 though, because this will be with a completely different showrunner. So I'm curious if that quality that season 1 had is going to be able to follow through in season 2.
I think majority of them will be really wide successes. You already mentioned Born Again season 2. Yeah, I've got good feelings about that. We've already had Wonder Man, which has been pretty incredible. If we're talking from a Marvel standpoint, we also have I think Vision Quest is going to be one hell of a surprise. I don't know why. I haven't even seen a lick of it. I haven't even seen a trailer for it, but for some reason, I think Vision Quest is really going to surprise some people. That's set to go ahead and drop this year. I think the Punisher special presentation is going to impress. If there's anything from Marvel that I am really curious about, it's probably the animated side of things. Like you, Stuart, I could easily see there being a divisive response to X-Men 97 season 2 if the new showrunners don't keep up the quality of the show. And I do think Bo DeMayo, as vocal as he is on social media, I am kind of curious if he will kind of throw a wrench into it. I think if Bo DeMayo has more resentment towards the show in season 2, then I do think it will cause maybe some fan division between that. So I do think it could be up in the air for season 2 of X-Men 97. And I think Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man season 2. While I enjoyed season 1, I don't know too many people that talked a lot about it like heavy. But I do think it'll do well in the sense of I do think there will start to be a narrative around Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man in regards to we probably shouldn't sleep on this type of thing. So I do think people will come around, but I think for the most part, more successes than question marks, I think, for Marvel. And I think the only thing for DC right now is Lanterns from a television standpoint. I know Mr. Miracle is in production as an animated series, but I'm not expecting that to release this year unless they surprise me. But I think Lanterns will surprise people. So I think DC is okay. As far as other shows, Spider-Man Noir, I think it'll be an interesting one, but I think that'll do fine. My Adventures of Superman season 3, I think will continue to do well. That's scheduled for fall of 2026. If there is a show that I think will get the most pushback, though, and animosity towards, it's probably going to be The Boys season 5 series finale, just because I think season 4 got some pushback in regards to it, and I could just see a narrative forming like, oh, it didn't stick the landing, it didn't do what I wanted it to do. And granted, this is somebody I haven't watched The Boys since season 3, so I missed all of season 4, so I don't know if the divisiveness is just people that are butthurt about right wingers that are butthurt about things not going the way that they wanted it to, or I don't know. But I think if there's any show that I think will probably have the most issues and complaints about, it'll probably be The Boys season 5 finale.
Yeah, unfortunately, man, I do want to watch. I've seen the first 3 episodes of season 4, but unfortunately, my Amazon Prime subscription ran out, and I at the moment can't afford to renew it. But I will definitely get back to you, Marcelino, on my thoughts on The Boys and Invincible once I can renew my Amazon Prime.
Kiki Luke says The Boys is my most anticipated show of the year. I think for a lot of people, I just think when it's such a big show like that, similar to what like Stranger Things was, I feel like there's always going to be a quadrant of people that are never fully satisfied about something, and I just think season finales are really hard for everybody to get on board with. Is really what my worry is. I do think it'll be a good. I think it'll be good show. I almost think like all of these will be good, but I think the two that I think I could see having people argue about it probably would be X-Men 97 season 2 along with The Boys season 5, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Kiki and Luca. Speaking of Kiki and Luca, they got. Oh wait, did I finish? No, I didn't finish. Tony Robinson. Sorry, Tony. Here we go. Could you see Marvel bringing back pre-MCU characters from previous shows like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Runaways, Cloak and Dagger, or The Gifted to show up in the Disney Plus shows?
I could see it with Runaways and Cloak and Dagger. Gifted, definitely don't think so. Because like theoretically it could happen if they depending on how Avengers Avengers Doomsday goes. Like if universes merge, then you could have characters from The Gifted showing up. but I wouldn't say that's likely. And then as for Agents of Shield, though, I'm gonna say this, man. I don't think Marvel considers Agents of Shield canon. I think if they were gonna bring in Agents of Shield characters at any point, they would have done it with Fury. That would have been, or sorry, with Secret Invasion. That would have been the perfect show to bring back Agents of Shield characters. But yeah, instead they just gave us like the most I think, like, you know what I would describe I would describe Secret Wars as
Secret Invasion.
Or sorry, Secret Invasion. Yeah, my bad. I would describe Secret Invasion as like, just, while nothing is bad on it, it's a plain piece of bread with nothing. Like, sure, it's edible, you can eat it, and you know, especially like if you're hungry, you're gonna need something, but like you're not gonna get anything out of it. And so it's like funny because like I imagine like you know, if they had brought in Agents of Shield characters into it, you at least could have had some flavor.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, man, you know, I am bummed. Yeah, I don't know if they would bring any of these characters back. There's a part of me, Stuart, that I was going to sit up here and say, you know, this is a great opportunity to bring back Agents of Shield if they really wanted to, just based off of, you know, Marvel Spotlight really being kind of disconnected from the MCU and really doing things on their own. But I'm sorry, Agents of Shield fans. I just can't continue to give you guys support here. Like, I just can't keep hoping for you guys anymore. I just can't. Like, I just think we've had so many opportunities for them to come back, and Marvel has just not done it. For them to do it now, it's just like, why, bro? Just why? Just you know, like, we're so far removed from them. Just don't do that to the fans anymore. So no, I don't think any of these characters will come back up. I think it's unfortunate because I think Runaways probably could have gotten quite a few seasons out of it. I think Cloak and Dagger probably could have gotten a few shows out of it, and they ended it prematurely. You know, if they wanted to do something maybe like a Ghost Rider, something that they had plans to do, but then never like went ahead with it, and you know, and canceled that show before it even began any level of production. So maybe you could do something like a Ghost Rider television series, which would be pretty badass. I'd be open for something like that. But you know, once you throw those characters like Cloak and Dagger and Runaways out there, and then cancel their stuff, I think it's just really hard to warrant. Hey, let's do another show for these characters. I think they can get away with it with the Netflix characters just because they had several seasons and they invested time in bringing them together as like the Defenders and stuff, right? So they've really established Netflix now is kind of like canonical. But outside of that, I would definitely I think those characters' time are done for. I think they'll move on to other characters, but we'll see. Kiki and Luca, some suggestions for future movie reviews. Maybe we should write this down, Stuart. Suggestions for future movie reviews in no particular order. Family Man. Let me see. Family Man movie. Why does that sound familiar? Oh, is that the Nicolas Cage movie? Yeah, Family Man. Maybe I've seen that movie before. But it's been a minute. Or maybe is that a Christmas? That might be a movie that my girlfriend watches every Christmas, I think.
It kind of looks like a Hallmark movie, but with Nicolas Cage.
With Nicolas Cage. And then the other suggestion is Jiro Dreams of Sushi and Ramen Girl. Is that a Jiro Dreams of Sushi? Oh, is it? Oh, it's just called Jiro Dreams of Sushi, and then there's another movie, Ramen Girl, I believe.
Oh, okay.
It could have been one whole title. It just makes sense to me. Jiro Dreams of Sushi. Okay. It follows an 85-year-old sushi master, and then Michelin restaurant owner. 3-star restaurant. Interesting. Okay. I do love sushi. And Ramen Girl. I'm not familiar with Ramen Girl, but it's a 2008 movie, The Ramen Girl. With Brittany Murphy is in it. Maybe this is was this one of her last movies before she passed? but The Ramen Girl. Okay, a 2009 movie. So we got 3 movie suggestions from Kiki and Luca. Yeah, and if anybody is interested in suggesting any movies for us, we talked about this on our last episode of Let's Talk Movies. That some movie weeks, while we try and highlight new movies that are released in theaters or on streaming services, there are some weeks where they may only be one brand new movie. And in that regards, in order to maybe fill up space, we have no problem maybe doing some suggested titles that you guys want us to review for. So if you have any movies that you would like us to review, go ahead and submit them in the comment sections of any of our videos. And if we have some time, we might certainly get to reviewing those movies for you guys in no particular order. Marcelino says, please review older movies because I can't go to the movies all the time, but watching some older movies would help join the live stream. Okay, we'll keep that in mind.
Yeah, you'll definitely want to tune in tomorrow because we got a fun. I'll explain why tomorrow I chose this movie. It wasn't basically we're reviewing They Will Kill You, which is of course the new movie, and then I chose a really weird other movie because I thought that this movie kind of helped inspire They Will Kill You, but yeah, it turns out my memory of what I thought the movie was about was a lot different than what it actually was. But we'll talk about it tomorrow. I think you'll enjoy it.
And then Kiki and Luca also say, sincerely would like to know why you gave Sinners an A+ rating. I saw it and I thought it was a good vampire movie. What am I missing? Yeah,
So,
go ahead, Stuart.
Oh, sorry. It's just my question is, when you saw it, did you see it in theaters? And then second of all, did you watch it in IMAX on film? Because for me personally, it wasn't just like, I think that if you were to take the plot on its own, it would have been just a really good vampire movie. But I think it was just the attention to detail that went into it that made me appreciate it the way I did. I think because I saw it on the IMAX screen in film my first time watching it, and it looked absolutely incredible. The color, the scenery, everything about it was just so great. The way it all popped out. I think the fact that the movie was incredibly well researched for the time period in terms of time period accurate clothing design, in terms of how the overall kind of economy worked back then, I thought was absolutely there were just small attentions of detail that I didn't even notice my first time watching. I had to have it kind of pointed out. But it's one of those things where when I learned that someone's done a lot of research for something, it massively just improves my overall enjoyment of it. But yeah, and then I just thought some shots were absolutely incredible, even some simple ones you'll learn about how just Smoke and Stack handing the cigarette back and forth to each other, that was one of the most difficult shots to pull off, and it just makes me again appreciate the fact that they took that much effort for such a small thing. And then of course I really enjoy the villains in this movie. I love the vampires. I love the main vampire as well. There's even a weird layer of sympathy behind it because I there's this whole kind of reflection of how both were kind of both their cultures were basically appropriated, and so there's that level of relatability to it as well that you have between our protagonist and antagonist. And then I just thought the performances were incredible all around, despite this being just an action horror movie. The everyone is acting their ass off in this. They're treating this like this is meant to be just a real Oscar grabber, and I love the commitment everyone has to their individual roles. So yeah, it's I think that if it were just to take the plot on its own, it would have been fine. But I think just everything that went into it, just there were so many small details in this movie that just added to it, that just made it just incredible. Sorry. I got really excited to answer that question.
Yeah, you took my answer. No, to elaborate on some things, you talked about the idea of the fact that we had a vampire that was from a Irish background, I believe, and then you had the black owners of the club. in Smoke and Stack, and the similarities that they both found, right? Like that's almost part of the temptation for them in the movie, you know, in the sense of like, come over to our side, right? Like we're both groups of people that haven't been fully appreciated for the work and the hard work that we've put in help building this country, and the people are constantly always against us. Why not just build in this community, right? Like, let's just all be kind of one and together sort of thing. But I you know, one of the things, you know, I'm kind of curious if you would have graded it an A+ on your end, Stuart. But you know, when we go into grading, it's not, we don't necessarily just go into it with that mindset of just overall what was the movie experience like. I think because we break it down also in the 6 categories, I think it helps allow us to focus on a lot of the different traits of the movie outside of just what the story is, right? Like, we got to focus on the sound and the music in the movie, and it was top tier, right? Like, there's a reason why the music, whether that be the original song or the musical score for the movie, was nominated for an Oscar, because it's like the music itself in this movie is like transcendent. It works in particular scenes. It helps elevate particular scenes. And I said this before, I think the musical piece alone of I Lied to You, where you're going through the different eras of music and its impact, I think that alone was powerful enough in a cinematic experience that stuck with me the whole entire year, honestly. So from a sound perspective, knocked it out of the park. You're talking about visual effects and stuff. I mean, whether that be the gnarly deaths, whether that be beautiful cinematography that will also go into, I would say, maybe levels of directing. I don't necessarily know if I gave special effects or VFX like a 10, but they were almost near perfect for me in here in regards to just visually what they've had to do. I mean, especially when you're talking about, like, from a twin standpoint, from Michael B. Jordan's character, and having them be in the same room and be that close and exchange things back and forth. Like, that's all visual, like, manipulation from a special effects standpoint. And they did that seamlessly in this movie. I mean, I can go into the performances. Haley Steinfeld in here, I thought was fantastic in here, working opposite of both Smoke and Stack. But to be able to kind of see Michael B. Jordan, you know, I heard in an interview from Michael B. Jordan that he wrote journals for both characters, and that he built kind of backstories and the trauma that both of them went through, and literally wrote from different character perspectives on how they handled it, and how each character, like, viewed their you know, their brother, you know, their sibling and stuff. So the work that he put into making them feel rather unique and yet still fitting into this world, to me, was just absolutely incredible. I mean, the editing for this movie really worked for me. I mean, literally within the first 5 minutes of this movie, they gave me a jump scare that I just didn't expect. Like, when homeboy's getting to walk into the church, and then it, like, edits to a vampire screaming, or somebody dying, or some horrific sequence. Literally within 5 minutes of this movie already gave me jump scares and kind of set the tone for what this movie was going to be. But I also never experienced a movie before that made me want to learn about a time period. Like you mentioned, Stuart, the attention to detail. Like, when I watched this movie, and I remember seeing the Asian grocery store owner going from the black store and walking across the street to the white store, and realizing just how much of an anchor the Asian community was between both races during that time. I didn't, like, in Mississippi Delta of all places, in my head as I'm watching the movie, I'm like, is this believable? Like, is this a real thing? And then I literally wind up at the same night or the same day after watching a PBS special that literally talks about the impact of Asians in the Mississippi Delta and their purpose. And it just solidifies for me, like, damn, Ryan Coogler really did his homework. Like, there's nothing about this movie that feels inaccurate or off, because of the fact that he he did so much research into it, to the point to where as a viewer watching it, I'm thinking to myself, man, there's so much I need to learn. And I actually went about trying to do my own research in regards to it. So I've never watched a movie that has made me want to learn more about a particular time period than I think Sinners did. But overall, I view it more than a vampire movie too, because I think the premise of the film really stands out for me. The idea of Smoke and Stack, who had a life for themselves out in Chicago, wanting to come back home and create something for themselves, something for their community, right? Like tired of working for others and not being appreciated for what you're doing. And now them having the knowledge on how everything works up there to now bring it back home. And it's not just bringing something back home for their community. It's also, I think, the undertones of this movie is they came back also, at least Smoke, for love, you know, because he wanted to be with the love of his life, you know, the mother of his child that unfortunately was deceased. You know, I'm sure regardless if maybe Stack didn't want to necessarily bump into Haley Steinfeld's character, I'm sure a part of him was mighty pleased that he certainly did, because clearly he felt some type of way. So you got a love angle here for Smoke and Stack that really worked and felt very genuine to me that it came across. But I also appreciated the idea, especially if we look at history in regards to the idea of like when Black people tend to gain power or create anything for themselves, you can expect there not to be too far behind, unfortunately, some white people that don't want Black people to have that level of power, and the importance of building that up for yourself, right? We've seen the Tulsa massacres. If you've never heard of Black Wall Street, I highly recommend you guys check it out. And that's not the only time that that's happened, of Black communities growing in power and in wealth, and other people wanting to make excuses or finding reasons to kind of burn it all down for them. So that message of sort of empowerment, of taking what you've learned and bringing it back home for your people and allowing your people to kind of thrive and kind of build something for yourself, you know, as undertoning messages for this movie, that really just kind of stuck with me, and it very much rang true. I mean, because at the end of the day, we come to find out the KKK planned on knocking on their door and trying to take all of that certainly away from them at the end of the movie. So yeah, I when I view it as that, I view it very much in like a historical lens, along with how every department of this movie, I think, truly just gave as great a performance and put their best foot forward as you can. That's why cinematography wins an award. That's why original screenplay wins an award. That's why a musical score wins an award, because everybody just came and I just think delivered, not just from a writing story standpoint. So that's one of the reasons why I gave it an A+. So sorry if that was such a long answer.
No, I loved hearing about it all.
But yeah, I also do think watching it in the format also helped too. I think I saw this movie like 3-4 times, but the one that I saw it on was definitely the IMAX in film. Maybe it was the 70 millimeter, where it's literally blown up the entire, you know, certain segments of it are blown up for the entirety of the screen, and you're just looking at it like, this is such a beautiful movie, dude. Such a beautiful movie.
Yeah, definitely. I watched it on HBO Max during Halloween last year, and yeah, I enjoyed it. You know, don't get me wrong, but man, the colors though, they don't pop as much. You know, it looks fine, but yeah, just that it's one of those rare experiences where I'm like, I'm really glad I saw this in the theaters first.
Kiki and Luca with the $1.99 super chat again. Thank you so much, Kiki and Luca. Excellent. Thank you for the answer. Hey, you're welcome. Appreciate you asking that question. It did make me think to myself too. I can't remember what I graded one battle after another, or even if I did grade one battle after another or not. I think I have a report card grade for that, but I don't think I remember looking at it. But those were my best 2 movies of the year. And like I've said before, you can swap it out in any day of the week. You can ask me, and one might be one might be better in my eyes than the other. But yeah, that's why I gave Sinners an A+ for that. Marcelino with a couple questions. What if the MCU used Green Goblin, but they did not use the Norman Osborn version, but instead chose the Hector Jones or Peter Parker version? Hector Jones was a character exclusive to Unlimited cartoon, where rather than being a villain, he actually is a superhero who frequently teams up with, helps the poor against authoritarian rule on Conator Earth, and has bat-like wings. Or the Peter Parker version, where during Zeb Wells' run, Peter was such in a low spot that he became the next Green Goblin, dubbed Spider Goblin. Peter basically uses the Green Goblin gadgets and costume and has the Spider-Man outlines and eyes. What do you think? Would you be open to any of these versions? I am not too familiar with either of those versions, but I am open to the idea of different versions of a Green Goblin happening. I know in the Spider-Man Unlimited comic book series by Brian Michael Bendis, it was still Norman Osborn, but he almost reminded me of like a Hulk kind of Green Goblin. I would have been open to a version of like something like that where he's like a monstrosity, you know. I would have been open to something like that. But if you're talking about like not utilizing Norman Osborn and going a different route to bring Green Goblin, I am open to different versions. Yes, I just don't know too much about the Spider-Man Unlimited or the Zeb Wells run. I don't know if the Zeb Wells run sounds appealing to me. Maybe the Unlimited cartoon. I'll have to see a little bit more about it. But if there are other Green Goblin versions out there besides the ones that you provided me with, I'm open to exploring those for sure.
Yeah, I don't see them. I mean, I'm definitely down for a non-Norman Osborn, like a non-traditional version of the Green Goblin. But I don't think they'd go with Hector Jones from Spider-Man Unlimited. I feel like that's one show that Marvel is just kind of like, we're just going to pretend that never happened. I think because like even X-Men, because like even though so it was originally created as a sequel to Spider-Man, the animated series. But I think that like with the very few cuts we've had of Spider-Man within X-Men 97, I think they kind of just confirmed that like, yeah, it's not connected to the current like animated universe. So I think I don't see Marvel borrowing anything from that series.
Kiki Luke also says there's a theory on the internet that Ned is the Hobgoblin. Yeah, we've been talking about that for a while. I think we even put out like a little short about that in regards to our hopes that maybe Ned would turn to Hobgoblin at some point in time, now that he doesn't have that friendship with Peter. We'll see if that comes to fruition, though. Pexy also says, what formats do you guys gonna watch Michael in theaters? I'll probably see it first in Dolby Cinema, see how that is first, and then if I like it, maybe I'll check it out in IMAX.
Yeah, I'd have to. I might do Dolby because I feel like when it comes to music, you want the best sound quality when it comes to movies about music or musicians specifically.
Marcin also says, we always hear the criticisms of bad dialogue with the phrase of no one talks like that. CW shows often are targeted with this type of criticism. However, was there ever a time you were on the opposite side? Basically, what I'm asking is, was there ever a time where a show or movie criticized with the phrase no one talks like that, but you were on the opposite side defending the movie or show where you were saying stuff like people would talk like that, or just because you never heard it before in real life doesn't mean it doesn't exist? I don't think I've ever utilized that complaint. No one talks like that. If it has been maybe I have an issue with maybe some dialogue, but I don't know if it's the case of like people don't talk like that. I don't know. Have you had a complaint like that, Stuart? I can't think of anything off the top of my head.
I rarely complain for myself when with bad dialogue when it comes to no one talks like that, because that's kind of the case with every movie, even movies where the dialogue feels realistic. Like a lot of people give Quentin Tarantino movies credit for having dialogue that feels natural and real. But even then, it's like, while it's good, don't get me wrong, I love the dialogue from a lot of Quentin Tarantino movies. I wouldn't call it as realistic as some people give it credit for, because, you know, the way it's written is still follows the Hollywood trope of, you know, people being able to have a quick response to everything right off the top of their head, where that's something that never happens in real life. But if you were to utilize that in a movie, it would be boring. So I rarely complain when it comes to bad dialogue. I do complain about it, but I rarely complain because it's unrealistic or because no one talks like that. Usually it's just because, like, it feels lazy, like for exposition dialogue dumps. It's not, I don't get mad at that because it's unrealistic. I get mad at it just because it feels lazy and they could have come up with a more creative way to explain the plot to us. Or oftentimes we already do know the plot to us, and my complaint is, why are we explaining this again? Like, I think, and that's something that people complain about with Netflix shows all the time now, because it's becoming a lot more common. Like nowadays, like it's well known that Netflix actually tells their writers that they have to repeat the plot multiple times, because they now assume people are on their phones while watching movies. So that's when I would complain. But I don't know. I don't think I've ever defended or criticized a show for having unrealistic dialogue.
Yeah, I mean, he reiterates this question, but when have you defended a show or movie that has been criticized for no one talks like that? I don't remember ever criticizing a movie or show for no one talks like that before. I don't.
Or-
If you have a series or a movie in question where you've heard people criticize it, I mean, maybe we can talk about it. But like off the top of my head, I don't remember reviewing a movie and thinking to myself, man, this movie could have been so much better, but no one ever talks like that. Like I don't think I've ever had that criticism towards a movie before.
Yeah, I don't think I've had that criticism or defense.
Yeah. Yeah, so maybe, I mean, maybe if you have examples, let me know. Off the top of my head, I can't think of one. Remember when I said that Supergirl season 3 scripts were changed so that Andrew Kreisberg wouldn't receive credit? There's been discussion on whether or not something like that is appropriate, because while the writer might be a terrible human being, their work should not be changed just because of their vile acts. A better example is X-Men 97 season 2. Now, we don't know how better or worse season 2 is going to be, and we don't know the full extent of Bo DeMayo's actions, but a recent interviews of change in DeMayo's script to ensure he won't receive credit, as well as the new showrunner being Matthew Chauncey, who worked on What If season 2, which most people hated, has garnered some pushback, with many feeling that the quality will diminish just to ensure that a terrible person won't receive credit. For both cases and many others, many people have said that everyone should suck it up and honor the original vision, regardless of what the person may have done specifically, since most of the time you ended up with more mediocre writing that way. But what are your thoughts? And also, do you believe that get more mediocre writing with cases like these?
I think it's possible that we'll get more mediocre writing with cases like that. I think it's like definitely a complex issue, because on the one hand, you know, when you fire someone, you don't want to instinctively continue to pay them money after you've already fired them. You know, especially if it's for something like, you know, sexual misconduct. I don't remember if that was the case with Supergirl. Remind me, Marcelino, like what the problem was with Supergirl, what happened. But with Bo DeMayo, I can definitely say like that was the official explanation from Disney, is that it was sexual misconduct, and therefore I can easily see why you wouldn't want to pay someone essentially, like, even if they're not as involved and you're not paying them as much, you're still kind of rewarding them for their bad behavior. So I do kind of get it on a business standpoint why it makes sense to want to redo all the creative writing that they've done, because if you continue with their writing, you have to legally pay them and you have to legally credit them, and I can see why that looks bad on a business like kind of point of view. So I kind of get it. I think it can be handled a lot better, you know, depending on how it's done, and only time will tell how they handled it when it came to X-Men 97 season 2. But yeah, I do think that it's not a good idea necessarily, depending on what they're fired for, and you know, if you want to make sure that they don't get another penny after their behavior. It's not a good idea to keep their writing if it means having to credit them and pay them, you know.
Yeah, I think I'm kind of on board with you there. You know, there is a part of me that thinks to myself, maybe just selfishly, like, at least in regards to the X-Men 97 situation, like, unless his writing suggested similar things to what his actions were, like if he's celebrating sexual abuse, or he's like promoting the concept of, you know, doing things we shouldn't, and that's within his, it's in his writing and in the scripts, then there's a part of me that's just like, yeah, then maybe don't. But if it doesn't showcase that stuff in it, then no, you should just keep it as is. But I do think you bring up a good point, right? Like, just from like a business perspective, if you are firing somebody over actions that are either unlawful or not appropriate, you know, why would you want to give somebody credit and give them more recognition, and not have somebody to come in and change that up, right? I mean, I was just thinking, for some reason, Max Landis just came in mind, right? Like, we were just talking about him coming on board to write a G.I. Joe movie or something like that. I'm just trying to think of other movies that he's done. I don't know if there was a movie that he did when the allegations dropped, and then they were like, oh, we got to rewrite this movie completely. I feel like he released what he wanted to, and then the charges came, and then he just became sort of like excommunicado from Hollywood, if you will. So he didn't really have that chance to have his stuff rewritten. But you know, I think it's just, as a company, you just hope that the people that you hire act in their best behavior, because I think as a studio, the last thing that you want to do is have to come in and do rewrites and stuff. But from them, in a business standpoint, is probably what's necessary. So I think you're right, Stuart, in that regards.
Mm-hmm.
You know, unfortunately, would it add to more mediocre stuff? It certainly could, for sure. Marcin says, especially since the original plans for Supergirl season 3 were much better than what we actually got. And that's the unfortunate side of things. Because I don't think studios want to have to do that, and hope that their creators keep their noses clean. But once they don't, then, you know, I'm sure they got to make tough decisions. And when you're trying to stick to a schedule, you know, having to bring the next best thing in sometimes is maybe not the direction you want to have to go originally. But it's unfortunate, but I think it's probably the right way to go.
Yeah. It's unfortunate because there are a lot of talented people out there that are also really terrible human beings. And, you know, we don't learn about it until like afterwards. And sometimes it makes you kind of like relook at their work, and you kind of wonder, was I looking at this the wrong way? Were they actually trying to say this instead of this, you know, something along those lines?
Yeah, like the like Josh Whedon, you know, like, man, I loved this man as a writer. Like, everything that he touched, I was always such a big fan of, dude. And I'm trying to think if Josh Whedon was in the middle of something, writing something, and then everything hit the fan for him.
So a lot of people are saying, with Joss Whedon specifically, with the character Xander, that was like much of a self-insert character for him.
Right.
And
like, I do feel like in Josh Whedon's stuff, you can go back and rewatch his stuff and see some of those influences for sure.
Yeah. And so when I look at rewatching Buffy, and I'm watching like Xander's character specifically, there are definitely some red flags there where I'm like, he wrote this as a self-insert? Why would you? Does he think this is okay?
Wasn't there a Wonder Woman scene that was questionable for people for his Justice League?
Oh, I know that apparently neither Gal Gadot or Ezra Miller wanted to do the scene where Ezra falls on her chest, right? Falls on her boobs. Yeah. Apparently neither of them wanted that scene, and he was like, no, it's important for, you know, we have to have levity somewhere. And it's like, I'm sure there's a million other ways you could have written levity.
Levity, yeah.
Has to be landing on her boobs.
Yeah, it's Josh Whedon for you.
Mhm.
But yeah. Jessica Friedman, which Arrowverse show do you think had the best series finale? And do you think they will get a new voice actor for John Redcorn for the King of the Hill revival next season?
I know that next season it's still going to be the same voice actor because he didn't pass away until after the first 2 seasons were already filmed. So I think they will after that. As for I don't know, which do you think had the best finale?
Oh God. I'm trying to go through that right now, dude.
I don't know if my answer counts because it's not Arrowverse canon, but Superman and Lois for me definitely had the best ending, I think, to it. But of course, wow, literally right when I said it. That's funny. Okay, so the best canon Arrowverse finale. Oh, I like part of me wants to say Arrow, but what's stopping me is because there was like a little bit that distracted from it being finale. I think like the two big things is one, it tying into Crisis, and two, it's setting off a spin-off show. Even though the last episode was an Arrow focused episode for sure, there was still just a little bit in between the finale and Crisis that kind of distracted it from feeling like a final send-off. So I'm gonna give it to Black Lightning, actually. I think that kind of had the most solid finale when it came to wrapping everything up, except for, oh god damn it, then I forgot about the whole freaking plot with Lightning and her like weird twin. Okay, that was actually
that was
I didn't
weird.
like that.
That was
Everything
weird.
else I thought worked about it. I didn't like that side plot that they had to wrap up.
Yeah, I mean those are going to be my two. I think two was going to be Arrow and Black Lightning, but you do mention the lightning stuff, and it's very cringy to me. But like from a series finale, yeah, probably Arrow is probably my favorite, but Black Lightning is probably a close second to me. I was thinking like season finales, but the question specifically was series finales. But yeah, that would probably be my two choices. My friends call me Joseph. While the Jacksons' This Is It residency was tragically cut short, icons like Elvis Presley and Cher have famously conquered the milestone of a massive career-defining comeback. Elvis reclaimed his throne with the legendary 1968 comeback special, while Cher's Believe era and subsequent record-breaking tour solidified her as the ultimate survivor of pop. Even in the modern era, acts like ABBA have utilized groundbreaking technology to launch global digital residencies that rival the scale of Jackson's original version. Have you ever wondered which other legendary performer could have pulled off a return as ambitious as the one planned for the O2 Arena? Do you think This Is It will also be referenced in the upcoming Michael biopic? I don't think it'll be referenced in the biopic. I'm under the impression that this cuts off, I would assume, at the height of his Bad album, like the Bad era for him. So I'm thinking from childhood to Bad is probably where the Michael Jackson biopic will end, instead of the second aspect of his life. So I don't think This Is It will be referenced. But have you ever wondered which other legendary performer could have pulled off a return as ambitious as the one planned for the O2 Arena? Man, that's a tough question. I don't know. I'm trying to think of like musical performers at the end, like at like late into their careers. Um, I don't know if this is I don't know if this is a good answer or not, or if they're even still touring, to be quite frank with you. And maybe this is a little bit biased because I've always wanted to go to a Red Hot Chili Peppers concert. And I think they got the talent to be able to pull off something like that. in regards to like massive. Well, is it really a comeback though? Because they've been around for a while, right? So like to leave and then have a huge comeback. I don't know. I was thinking Red Hot Chili Peppers if they ever did like another tour, but I don't see them putting out. I mean, maybe they are still putting out new music. I feel like they certainly are as of like the past couple of years ago. But maybe Red Hot Chili Peppers could try and pull something off like that. I'm just trying to think of big modern like juggernauts that have stopped doing music, but can maybe like come back with like a new album and a massive tour to like redefine or let people remember who they were or how big they were. I don't know. I just think times have changed. Maybe Stuart, you have anybody like that? Oh, Pexy says that there is a documentary on the Red Hot Chili Peppers on Netflix. I have seen clips of it. I do want to go ahead and check it out, but for some reason, that's the group that just reminds me. Like every time I hear music from them, man, they're so fucking good. Even though they're older now, I still would like to go to a concert of theirs. That's the only people coming to mind right now.
Yeah, I got nothing for this one. I'm sorry.
Yeah, sorry about that, man. My friends call me Joseph. That's a tough one though. Yeah, Elvis, Cher. I don't know. Can we put Adele in there somewhere? Is she still touring? I mean, she's not old, but I don't know. Like Beyonce, I think still tours. I'm just trying to think of like people that are worldwide recognized type of thing, you know? But yeah, sorry about that. My friends call me Joseph. Let me refresh this and see if we have any other comments. I don't believe so. No, that was everything. But all right, wonderful guys. Thank you everybody for all of your wonderful live viewer questions. Marcelino says, how was Batwoman's ending and Supergirl's ending? I still have yet to watch Kara, the last episode of that. I think I started to, and then a part of me was like, wait, what happened before this? And then I started watching the penultimate episode, and then halfway through I just got distracted and I stopped watching. So yeah, I gotta go back and finish it.
I think the for Batwoman fun season finale clearly was not meant to be a series finale, but it was fun. Supergirl, I'm mixed because I think the whole plot was dumb, but I do like how they wrapped up Supergirl's arc. I actually thought her ending was perfect, but the plot was so dumb. I think that's like kind of my biggest problem with season 6. I think that just I just did not like the last. I think season 5 was when Supergirl went downhill for me. Like I don't even remember season 5 too well. But yeah, season 5 was when it started to go downhill for me. And then I thought, ironically enough, the best episodes of Supergirl season 6 were the episodes where Kara was like trapped in the Phantom Zone. And then the moment she gets out of the Phantom Zone, that was when the show just really went downhill for me. And the only thing I really liked about season 6 was Kara's arc, the way they wrapped it all up. I won't spoil it just in case Adam does eventually decide to get around to watching it. But yeah, I thought the plot was dumb, but her arc was great.
But yeah, guys, I think that will do it. I'm trying to see if there's any other comments that I missed in here that I wanted to highlight. Again, shout out to Kiki and Luca with the super chats today, and also shout out to Frankie for certainly coming through today as well with the super chats. We really do appreciate all the donations each and every week. But yeah, man, I think that'll be it for us here today. Next week, I am going to be out of town. I leave for New York City Friday the 3rd, and then I come back like mid-afternoon on Monday the 6th. So no new live episode of Hero Report next weekend, and no new episode of Let's Talk Movies on Monday evening. But that week, we will be launching our Mall Shadow Lord stuff for you guys. And you can probably still expect a Daredevil Born Again episode review. I'm still trying to figure out what day of the week I should try and drop that on. So those are the two things to certainly look forward to from us. We will be talking movies tomorrow night, though, so certainly join us 7 p.m. Central Time. But yeah, so we'll try and put up some content for you guys this week. But just remember, beginning Friday of next week through Monday, I will not be here, so no new episode of Hero Report next weekend. But Stuart, if people want to find you, man, on social media, where can they find you, sir?
You guys can find me at TurboStew01 over on Instagram, Letterboxd, and TikTok.
And if you want to follow us anywhere on social media, again, at Hero Report over there on TikTok, and then everywhere else down here below at A+ Opinions. First and foremost, our main site, the YouTube channel. If you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel, please go ahead and do so. Click that bell notification too, so when we do go live or drop brand new videos, you guys will be notified. But if you do want to follow us on social media everywhere else, I would highly suggest our Facebook page. We keep that up to date on a daily basis with brand new breaking news, exclusive news, updates to your best franchises, trailers, posters, first looks, whatever the case may be. We update that on our Facebook page every single day. And then at the end of the week, we take 6 topics from there and we talk about them here live for you guys on Hero Report every Sunday at noon Central Time. And then we'll certainly see you in the middle of the week for some of our review shows. But until then, that will do it for us here, y'all. We'll certainly see you guys in a couple of days. And until then, do me a big favor, as always, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and keep it A+. We'll talk to you guys later. Bye.